8 days away from the election. It's like, oh my God. Soon to be seven, soon to be seven, soon to be a week. It felt like just a week ago, practically, I was saying, oh my God, it's 2 weeks until the election. What do you know? Isn't that something? But I hope everybody's doing well tonight. I hope you're all having a great Monday evening. Do me a favor, though. If you're just getting in the live, make sure to double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 100,000 likes. It helps boost the live, send it out to more people, all that good stuff. Also, spam those shares down there. It helps boost the live as well. And of course, drop a follow if you haven't already. And, if you've been here before, you know exactly what we're doing. If you haven't been here before, we are talking to MAGA. Why on earth is somebody supporting Donald Trump in the year 2024? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I have no idea. It's not rational. So we're going to talk to some MAGA Republican people tonight, find out why they're voting for Donald Trump. So if you are MAGA, if you are a Republican, if you don't like Democrats, if you don't like Kamala Harris, if you don't like Joe Biden, whatever category you fall into, come on up, talk to me why, tell me why, and we'll go from there. Yeah, and you can try to explain as to why you're voting for Donald Trump. I've said before, I'll say it again. There's not a single good reason to vote for Trump. Not one. Not one. Sometimes in elections, you have some decent candidates. This is not one of them. Kamala Harris is the only decent candidate in the race. She's the only choice for president. And so let's get to it. All right, everybody. If you are MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. Anna says she voted early today, which means Anna is fantastic. We love Anna. Shout out, Anna. I appreciate you. What about the MSG rally? Insane, Lisa. Insane. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I will bring you up and we can talk. And you can tell me, why you're MAGA. Why you're MAGA. Okay, let's see here. Jacob, I feel like I talked to before, and it's a Democrat. So, we're only looking for some Trump supporters this evening. Let's give Danny a shot. Remember, only request up if you are MAGA. Only request up, or type in the chat, Trump if you want to come up. Only if you're MAGA and disagree. We're only looking for some debates. Danny, hello. And undecided. Undecided if you want.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 23.
All right, man. Why are you MAGA?
Honestly, my ideas align with more of the conservatives and the Republican Party over the Democrats, I'm being completely honest.
What state are you voting in?
So I'm voting in New York. I'm currently in Singapore right now, but I live in New York.
Jeez Louise. Okay. Why are you in Singapore? Is it just like a temporary trip, or you're like over there for some time? It's interesting.
I work on ships, so I'm in a ship in Singapore right now.
Gotcha. Okay, so why do your ideals align with the Republicans? Like, especially this Republican Party. Like, what ideals do you have that aligns with Donald Trump?
So for one, I am pro-life. Personally, that's like the biggest one. I don't really use this point to argue because it does come from my religious beliefs partially, and I understand you can't really use that to argue with people because not everyone else is going to hold those same religious beliefs or be the same religion as you. But I do believe human life is intrinsically valuable, and I do believe that life begins at conception. I totally understand the other side. I definitely understand why people think there's a need for it. And although I do think it is wrong, I am willing to let that be up to the states. And I just personally think that's what it should be left up to, because it is there's such a huge divide. I mean, I don't really know the exact split, but I know there's so many people on each side that I don't think it would be fair to make it federally legal when so many people are against it. And I don't think it would be fair to make it federally illegal, even though that's what I genuinely think would be morally right, because there's so many people that are for it. So I think it's fair to leave it down to the states so that each state can decide.
But why wouldn't you want it just protected federally so then individuals can pick what they want to do with their bodies, as opposed to states deciding what individuals do with their body? Because that's what it is right now, right? Like on a federal level, no matter where you live in the country, you, the individual, could make that choice, as it was prior to Roe v. Wade being overturned. But now you have 1/3 of women living in states with Trump abortion bans, and they don't get to make that decision simply because of their geography.
Yes, sir. I do think that it is down to individuals being able to choose what they do with their own body. However, the way I see it is that there is another body there is another person living inside of you from that moment of conception. And so in my eyes, I see it as them killing the life of their unborn child. And
So
like
you're
I said, like
against
I totally, I'm sorry?
So you're against IUDs?
I honestly don't really know too much about IEDs, if I'm being completely honest.
Do you
with
know what an IUD is? And if you don't, that's fine.
Yes, it's like an intraurinary or intrauterine device.
Yeah, it's a form of birth control. So an IUD, which is a very popular form of birth control among women in modern America, can prevent the implantation of a fertilized egg in the uterus, which by your definition, a fertilized egg would be life. So you would say that women who have IUDs would be murderers by your definition. And you would be then in favor of banning IUDs, I suppose, right?
Well, would it not prevent fertilization? Would it not prevent the egg meeting the sperm or the
No, it can, but the primary goal of an IUD is not to prevent implantation in the uterus, but that can be as a result of having an IUD. So sometimes eggs do get fertilized, and then they are prevented from being implanted in a uterus as a result of an IUD. Okay,
so although it's not the main goal, like it can happen sometimes.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh wow, I really don't know how to think about that. I've never heard of that up until right now. I don't think I would consider a woman a murderer for doing something like that. Because again, it's not her choosing to do that. However, I do think that would be wrong if.
So you would be then in favor of like getting rid of IUDs?
I really don't know. Like I said, I don't know too much about
that's
IUDs.
That's the point, right? It's like, obviously, like I think any rational person would not be in favor of getting rid of IUDs, right? Even though, like by your definition, a fertilized egg could be terminated. I don't think any rational person would agree with that. Just like I don't think any rational person, by using that same logic, would say, yeah, let's have abortion ban in certain states. So then just simply based on your geography, you get, you're not allowed to get an abortion. And I think we're already seeing like the really negative consequences of that view. Like in Texas, for example, maternal mortality, went up 56% following Roe v. Wade being overturned. 56%. And that's way higher than it went in anywhere else in the United States and compared to countries like Canada, for example. So more women are dying, more fetuses are dying as a result of pregnancy complications. More women are getting sepsis, more women are getting infections, and even women have died from being denied critical reproductive care. And I just don't see how that's logical.
No, I totally understand. And you made a great point. Absolutely. The biggest thing for me with abortion that we haven't talked about is I just think in so many cases it's just completely avoidable. I mean, I know we get into the question of rape, and that's a horrible scenario, and I don't wish that upon anyone, of course. But the vast majority of abortions, I do believe, are avoidable. Because at the end of the day, it is the harsh reality, and it seems unrealistic in our day and age. But even if you are on birth control, even if you have an IUD, even if you are practicing safe sex or any combination of those three, no matter what, when you have sex, there is a possibility of the woman getting pregnant. And it's a harsh reality. There really is no way to 100% prevent pregnancy except for remaining abstinent.
Right. So are you saying that consent to intercourse is consent to pregnancy?
I do believe so. I think it's a cause and effect.
Okay. So would you say that when you get in your car and drive to the grocery store every single day, or whatever, you go to the grocery store, you recognize that there's a possibility that an 18-wheeler comes right through you and kills you in that car? Are you saying that somebody who gets in their car and drives to the grocery store is consenting to that possibility? Consenting to being killed by an 18-wheeler?
I don't know how consenting I don't know how that would relate to like driving, but I think that if you get in a car and you drive, you are taking the risk of potentially getting in an accident regardless of how safe you drive, because there's all these other people that can play. Yeah, but you're
recognizing. So the key word is consent, though, right? You're saying that intercourse is consent to pregnancy. So is getting in your car and driving to the grocery store and just driving generally consenting to getting hit by an 18-wheeler and dying? Because it's a possible consequence, right?
It is a possible consequence. I'm struggling to understand like how consent in this scenario. Like I think of it as a risk you take and you knowingly and willingly take before getting in the car, whether or not you think about it. But consent, it doesn't sound right almost. But the way I think of it is, let's say, like a lot of people.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay. The way I think of it is a lot of people use the argument, oh, like it's inconvenient, or I don't have money to pay for it. And it means to raise a child right now. Totally understandable. And the way I think of it, thinking about a car is in a similar action. I mean, if I take the risk and I speed and I get pulled over and I get a ticket for it, and it's inconvenient for me, I can't pay that ticket, I don't just get to choose another option. You know, I can't just void that ticket or something like that. And I understand driving speed limit is not the same as having sex, creating a human life. I just think for one main reason, natural family planning is something that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of. Just by going and getting some tests, you can determine what days of the month you are fertile or most likely to be fertile. And you're basically given a window of, 6 or 7 days, I believe, of when you are more likely to get pregnant, things like that. And I just think there's so many options and so many different possibilities to avoid being pregnant. And it's a shame that women are the ones that have to deal with it. And I know, like, everyone says it's such a women's issue. Men shouldn't have a say. And I understand why they think that. And it's just the way the world goes. It's a shame that.
So just to be clear, a woman can get pregnant at any point in a month. But the second thing I wanted to say is that the comparison to getting in your vehicle and driving is that consent to being killed by an 18-wheeler. I would say that obviously it's not consenting to getting killed by an 18-wheeler, just like I would say having intercourse is not consent to getting pregnant. Because, we want to prevent these possibilities. Everybody recognizes that if you have intercourse, no matter what method of birth control you're using and no matter how safe you are, it is possible that that woman gets pregnant, 100%. But should that woman be forced to go through that pregnancy? Is that intercourse and taking that risk, meaning that she is consenting to that pregnancy? I would also argue no, just like I would argue that if you get in your car, you're not consenting to getting killed by an 18-wheeler. And then that's just like from a philosophical approach. When you get into like a data-driven approach, you see that women in countries where they have access to reproductive care versus women in countries where they don't, the difference is astounding. Women's life expectancy goes up. Their quality of life goes up. Their financial position in society is better. So, and then combine that with the stories we're getting out of Republican states like Amber Nicole Thurman in Georgia, who took an abortion pill. She had fetal matter. I hope Nurse Heather is not in here. She'll correct me on what it is. But she had fetal matter left over. And that would typically be a routine procedure in a pre-Roe v. Wade being overturned America. But she went to a hospital in Georgia, and the doctors were unsure if they could operate. They waited 20 hours before they did, and she ended up dying as a result of that infection because these doctors thought they were going to go to jail for 20 years if they did. So these laws don't solve anything. They just make people's lives harder. And so I think that given the data, given, I think, the philosophy behind the position and the argument, it makes far more sense to just support a pro-choice society where if you are uncomfortable with the concept of abortion, you don't have to get it. No problem. Nobody in your family has to. But if women see that as an option that's best for themselves, they should be allowed to. And the last thing I'll say is that I don't know a woman in my life or anybody I've ever met who thinks that having an abortion is an easy decision. Even if they're going off to college and they don't want to raise a child, I don't know a woman that's ever come to that decision lightly and has just been like immediately after they had the abortion, they're like, great, I'm so happy again. It's like, this is an incredibly emotional and difficult position and decision for women to make. But at the end of the day, it's a hard one. It's one that should be respected. And I just don't see any data or any argument to say that it shouldn't be. So,
can I ask you, when do you think the cutoff should be? Like, when do you think life begins?
I'm not really concerned when life begins. I'm more concerned with viability. So viability or like sentience kind of begins around the 20 to 24 week mark. And I think that I agree with like Roe v. Wade and Casey and things in different court cases that have held that a state prior to viability does not have an interest in preventing a woman from getting an abortion. But after that point, I do think that a state could have an interest in preventing that woman from getting an abortion. Like if you're 27 weeks pregnant, I could understand why a state would have that interest. However, following 20 to 24 weeks, it should still be available to women in a medical emergencies because and that includes abortions in the third trimester. for medical emergencies, I'm fully perfectly happy with women having an abortion in third trimester if that's the case.
So, so you think that even if it's sentient, or even if it's not sentient, but it is alive, like you said, you don't really care about or you're not really interested in when human life begins. So I'm making this up, right? Let's say human life begins at 15 weeks and sentience begins at 20 weeks. You would be okay with an abortion at 17 weeks, 18 weeks?
Yes.
So okay. So even though you would be admitting that it is human life that's being terminated, you just think that it doesn't have enough value.
I don't think that anybody that's pro-choice is going to argue that it's not human life. That I think like a lot of people agree that life begins at conception. It's just like, when does life actually become valuable? Because you would agree that in circumstances, life is not more valuable than the judgment of certain people. So I think the argument is always, hey, do you think it's murder to pull the plug on a brain dead patient? They're technically alive. They are living. But I think, again, most people would agree that the family should have the decision to pull the plug if they'd like. Also, in the case of self-defense, I think everybody would agree that if somebody's trying to take your life or injure you in some way, and you have a reasonable belief that they're going to harm you, you should be able to take their life or defend you in any way that is fit for that situation, even though they are living. So I think that, there are plenty of instances of which we don't value life more so than we would the decision of a certain individual. And I think that abortion comes to is that example. Like, I think her woman's decision and her right is more important than that of the fetus.
Right. I understand. You make a lot of good points. So I'm actually currently on watch right now, and I do have to go back to work.
Oh, please, go, my man, go do your thing, bro. Don't worry about it.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yes,
really
sir.
Appreciate
Have a good one, man. I appreciate you. Enjoy Singapore, man.
Yes, sir.
Nice guy. I really do think that the abortion conversation is like being pro-choice is like the easiest position to take in terms of like, is it difficult? Like, is it a difficult choice? It's like, no, being pro-choice is obviously the easiest, most logical position to have when it comes to reproductive rights. It's just like, I don't know. I really don't see the pro-life position. I think the only people that are pro-life are like these Phil bros, these like weird dudes who have to do these mental gymnastics to try to justify their pro-life beliefs, and they have to like break out the philosophy. It's like, you don't got to do that. You don't got to do all that. Just look at the data, my man. Just look at the data. Data's clear. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. Sophia, thank you for the 99 cents. Yeah, Saturday night was rough, but like, did I make you laugh? I got to be honest, Sophia, yes. I think that some of those comments were really funny. She was like leaving comments on the Venmo payment. I can't even hold you. It was funny. Maze, thank you for the $5. Just voted in Wisconsin today on Cash App. Yo, Wisconsin's a swing state. It's going to come down genuinely to like 5,000 votes, 10,000 votes in Wisconsin. So really important. Daisy, thank you for the $1. Finally, the only debater I love after today. Hi, baby. Why, Daisy? I feel like there's so many amazing debaters on TikTok that you should love. Come on. I appreciate it, Daisy. Thanks for coming back here, though. I just invited somebody who's MAGA. Caitlin says, Harry, going to miss your lives once Kamala wins. Well, we'll figure out a way to do them after, I think. Oh, my God. Look at this guy in the chat. Hold on. David says, a vote for Kamala is a vote for Satan. I got to invite that guy up. Are you kidding me? Dude, you got to be kidding, bro. That's crazy. That is super weird. You got to like find a hobby. That's really strange. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. If you're MAGA in the chat, let me know. I'll bring you up. And we'll talk. I invited that guy up, by the way. I don't think he's gonna come up. Republicans for Harris. I love that. LD. Kyle says, let me up. Kyle, my man, I'll give you an invite. You're welcome to come up if you'd like. No problem. Kevin says, let him up. Is Kevin requesting? I can't invite him up for some reason. Let's see. Kevin is not requesting up. I can't invite him. Oh, here comes somebody. I don't know who it is, but it's AT. What's up, man?
Yo.
Oh, wait. First and foremost, make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. 8 days until the election, almost 7 in like a couple of hours. Double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 200,000 likes. And of course, Venmo, Cash App, link in bio if you want to support the live. You know the drill. What's up, man? Why you MAGA, bro?
How can you not be MAGA?
I'm asking the inverse to you.
Make America great again. Like, how can you even argue against that?
I mean, it's not, you know, the words make and America and all that stuff. It's more of like the ideology behind it. How can you like, how are you, you're voting for Trump, right?
Okay. Well, what do you want? What do you want to know? In my opinion, based off why I'm
Like,
voting
why are you
for
voting for Trump?
Bro, any policy that you can think of makes more sense in the conservative party. Like, how could you not?
Like, what policy makes, in your view, what's the number one policy you're voting on that you think that, yeah, Trump is better on?
Illegal immigration.
Gotcha. So let's start there. What's Trump's immigration policy?
Is exactly word for word. I couldn't tell you.
No, I'm not
Like,
asking word for word. I'm not asking word for word.
Well, that he pretty much wants all this illegal migration to stop, or at least to slow it down.
Yeah, that's like a goal. That's not a policy. That's not how you get there. So how do you get there? What's Trump's way to get there?
By deporting these migrants that they're bringing into the country.
Okay, so you're saying the phrase that he uses, the largest deportation effort you have ever seen in American history. Are you referencing that?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
why is that a good idea?
Why is that a good idea?
Yes, why is that a good idea?
Because they're because they're getting funded by our tax dollars.
They are not, actually.
So
If you're an undocumented migrant, you don't have any access to like federal programs or anything like that.
Okay.
You don't have access to any of that.
I've heard that too, actually. So now the question: who is funding it?
No, we the taxpayers are not funding it.
So
So
who
you're
is
saying like
funding
they do not have access to any of these programs.
Okay, so who is funding it then?
No, nobody.
What do you mean nobody?
Nobody in terms of like the American people are funding it via like the government.
Hey,
like the government is not giving them benefits.
I understand you're saying the American people, the American tax dollars are not funding these migrants. So who is funding them? I'm asking you.
Nobody is funding them. I
So
don't even
what
know
do
why you
mean
think that.
nobody is
What
them?
funding?
So how
What
are they
funding are you
living for
referencing?
free? Dude, what do you mean? I know
funding are you
migrants
referencing?
that have been living in a hotel since they've been freaking flown
Yeah, so
here
that's-
from Venezuela.
Those people are. I mean, so first of all, you're like mixing up two different programs right now. Folks that are staying in hotels in like New York City, for example, that is a temporary stay that's approved by the city. The city, for example, has a law that says that if you show up to a homeless shelter, you can't be denied a bed. You have to be accepted a bed somewhere in the city. So that's part of that kind of law, maintaining that law. And also, these are asylum seekers, so they're actually here legally. They are seeking refuge based on their belief that they're being persecuted on a protected trait in their home nation, and thus they are here legally. And so they have some access to programs in certain jurisdictions like New York City, but those are not undocumented migrants. So your idea that like they're getting funded by the government or undocumented migrants are getting funded by the government is not true. But just like the idea of mass deportations, as Trump is saying, like deporting 11 million people is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, just because logistically, it's impossible. Logistically, it would cost billions upon billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to do. And there's no real benefit. A lot of these folks are working jobs. They're creating economic output. These folks pay more in taxes than they take in any program, right? Ooh. So deporting all of these people, destroying our economy, hurting our GDP, hurting our revenue, does nothing. And in return,
a bunch of illegal immigrants is going to hurt our economy?
Quite literally, yes. A lot of the most people in here in the country that are undocumented are folks who have overstayed their green cards or visas, right? They're not people who have snuck in through the border, as Donald Trump likes to fearmonger about. They're folks who are working here. They have a family here. Maybe they've had kids in the United States who are American citizens, and their kids are going to school. Maybe they're teaching the football team at the local school. They're just trying to make a better life for themselves and their family. And Trump is saying, screw them. Let's just get them all out. So let's just empty a bunch of jobs, empty a bunch of communities. For what? What?
He's literally just saying that they should do it the right way.
Wait,
And
so
coming
I
into the
totally.
country is not like it's not the right way. There's
So I
nothing.
totally agree that we want people to go about it through the right way, but the
Okay.
right way right now is almost impossible to go through. That's why so many people are turned to undocumented migration. Wouldn't you say that if it's like incredibly difficult to get into a country legally, that somebody in a dire situation might turn to an illegal method of going about it?
If you put it like that, yeah, but
Right. So the solution here is not to just deport a bunch of people who would likely try to come back to the United States because maybe their kids remain in the country. Instead, we should offer a lot of these people a pathway to citizenship and then make it easier to come in legally, harder to come in illegally, and invest in things like border patrol, hiring more agents, investing in immigration courts to expand them, giving the president the ability to shut down the border if it's being overwhelmed. All of these things are things that Kamala Harris agrees with. All of these things are things that Donald Trump has either disagreed with or not spoken about.
so do you think there should be a border?
Of course, of course.
So how do you argue against it if you're literally agreeing with him that we need a border and we need more troops at the border patrols, then how can you argue against it?
So
Like you like
Kamala
the
Harris,
policy of closing the border, but these people have done everything the opposite way. Like, what do you mean? No,
so
that doesn't-
Democrats and Kamala Harris believe in a border. We want a border, right? The Democrats are fully
so
there.
why
We want a
haven't they
border. We want to
enforced the
secure.
border then?
What was that?
They haven't enforced the border. They literally flew in how many millions of people?
So millions have not been flown in, but the program that you're talking about is a program called humanitarian.
How are you
Hold
going
on,
to
one
deny
second.
the facts?
One
Do
second.
you think these
Millions
people
of
are just making these numbers up? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
so millions have not been flown in. What you're referencing is a program called humanitarian parole, which applies to certain countries. It's been expanded under the Biden presidency, but it is a method of legal migration. These folks being flown into the United States go to certain airports, and they must have a financial sponsor in the United States that covers their flight and their stay. So they're not just coming in and we're just letting them in saying, have a great time. They're being vetted, and they're also coming in only for around a 2-year period so that they can work a job. They can apply for further stay in the United States, but they're coming in and being paid for by somebody else, and it's a legal method of migration. It's been a method of migration since the 1990s.
So, yeah, it's been a method of migration to America, but are you saying that it hasn't been way worse in the last 4 years, like compared to all these other years of American migration? Has it not quadrupled or tripled, whatever the numbers are?
So I'm not saying that there hasn't been more people coming to the border, but the question is
No,
why?
can you admit that it's been a lot more? Like it's
Yeah,
not
I'm
even
not
close?
disputing that. I'm not disputing that. That's not at
Right,
all
so
what I'm
that's
disputing.
the issue
So,
here, though. How
and
are
I
you gonna
100%
not
agree.
dispute it? But
And I
that's
100% agree.
That's the issue.
And I 100% agree. But you have to ask, you have to think about this critically. You have to ask why. Why have there been more people coming to the border in the past 4-ish years than there were previously? And the answer is really
Because of-
clear when you
what
look
is
at
it?
when you actually look at the data. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It has nothing to do with Kamala Harris. It has nothing to do with the
Doesn't it have any-
Democrats.
Bro,
So
stop lying to everybody,
I'm going to
bro.
answer your question right now. The reason why so many people came to the border in recent years is because of the pandemic. The pandemic forced a lot of folks in like Southern American countries out of their home countries, and they're seeking economic opportunity primarily. Our economy is really strong. We bounce back in a short amount of time comparative to other countries around the world, but a lot of these Southern American countries without strong economies, they did not bounce back in the same way. So these folks are desperate. They're seeking economic opportunity. They try to come to the United States. That was furthered and expedited by the COVID pandemic. And you can tell that this is not just a uniquely American problem, because you can look at countries around the world. Countries in Europe are now passing really strict immigration laws because they had an influx following COVID. Canada is now passing a strict immigration law because they let in the most amount of migrants ever in their history last year.
Canada's just
Because
as bad as-
Justin Trudeau is not just letting people in, it's because of an
leftist
influx of people
country.
coming from
You
COVID.
can't use them. Like they're the same as the leftists in this country. They're the same people.
Yeah, the point is that a lot of countries are experiencing mass migration and have in recent years. Even like France passed a really strict immigration bill in the past couple of years because they are also experiencing mass migration. This is not a strictly United States issue. This is happening all over the world. And I think you and I would both be able to agree that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not sending migrants all over the world somehow magically.
Well, they are sending them all around the U.S. like USA. I don't understand. Like we're talking about America
Don't know how
here. We're
that's
not
relevant,
talking
but-
about these other countries.
No, So I know
I
we're
know
talking
you
about America, obviously, but the point is that this is happening all over the world. So this is not just happening to the United States. It's not just that, oh, Biden is doing something that is letting all these people in. It's rather a global phenomenon that's taking place right now.
If it's not, if it wasn't there, so you're just blaming it on COVID because of COVID. That this is why this is happening.
Well, it's partly because of
You think
COVID,
that's
and for
okay?
certain
Wouldn't that be
groups
a
of people, it's
reason to
partly
like
because of something
not
else.
let them into the country?
So they're seeking asylum, which is a legal process. It's legal under American law and international law. So if they're seeking asylum, as the law stands right now, we can't just say, sorry, no. They are legally allowed to seek asylum. So you're asking, why are so many asylum seekers coming in? Because they have a legal right to. And so just to be clear, like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have signed executive orders to limit that. And they've proposed policy to change the laws around asylum to make this not the case anymore. And Republicans have blocked that policy.
After 4 years, now you're saying they're passing policies?
So they actually didn't try to pass this policy 4 years into their term. Biden introduced an immigration policy on day one of his presidency, like quite literally 20 minutes after taking the oath of president. He sent a bill to Congress surrounding immigration. And then in 2023, Democrats and Republicans negotiated on a bipartisan border bill that included some of the things I just mentioned, and Republicans blocked that bill. So they've been trying for many years now, and Republicans keep rejecting them. So I'm saying, like, if this is one of your big issues, you're thinking about immigration this election, you should be voting for Kamala Harris, not Donald Trump.
I still disagree with you because Joe Biden and Barack Obama and all these people were in office for how many years now? And what, Donald Trump was at fault then too?
No, I'm not blaming Donald Trump for things he's not at fault for. But like under Obama, we had low migration. That was the Obama-Biden admin. By the way, Trump was president for 4 years. And when he entered office, migration numbers were around the same that they were when he left office. So if undocumented migration is the root of all of our problems, and I guess Donald Trump did a pretty shitty job of addressing it.
Dude, he built like how many miles of the wall? What do you mean?
50 new miles of wall, 50.
I highly doubt it's only 50.
I encourage you to look it up. Do you want me to look it up right now? I can do so if you want.
Look it up. As long as it's a biased website and, you know,
it's not biased,
bro, everything is biased on Google. You can't deny that. You can't even find one good article on Donald Trump on Google.
You can just look up foxnews.com.
By biased fucking people. Like, what do you mean?
You can just look up Fox News. So Trump administration says that they've completed more than 400 miles of border wall since then. It's 452 miles in total. However, only 80 miles of new barriers have been built where there were none before. That includes 47 miles of primary wall, so 47 miles, around 50 miles of new wall, primary wall, and 33 miles of secondary wall built to reinforce the initial barrier. The other 400 miles in question were reinforcing already existing barriers that were at the border, because a lot of people don't know this. There's already a wall at the border. So 50 miles of new wall. I'm telling you, this guy's not the god that you think he is. He's not this great president that you think he is.
He's a god, bro. He's not a god. But does he care about this country? I think he does. And do I think he's trying to break our laws? I think he does, bro. Like,
if Trump cared about the United States, he wouldn't break our laws. He wouldn't call us the trash can of the world. He wouldn't demean us and call the Democrats the enemy of the people.
Bro. That's not what he said.
He did say that.
No, he didn't.
You want to listen to a clip of him saying it?
Bro, I heard the clip. It's not about just the clip. You got to listen to the whole thing. He said we're dumping grounds of the world. There's a big difference, bro.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody should be saying that. I think that's like, if you're running for president of the United States, you should not be calling us like the dumping ground of the world or calling us the trash can of the world or anything like that.
Of course, we technically are when these countries are releasing their prisoners into our country. What would you call that?
That's not true. That's also another lie that Donald Trump tells.
How would you know it's not true? Anybody can file for asylum and they're just bringing them with no questions asked. During COVID,
there are certain restrictions on it. There's certain restrictions on asylum.
As an American, do you think that's okay?
So there are certain restrictions on asylum. So if like a gang member, for example,
to the CVS,
can I finish by any chance? Can I finish by any chance? So there are certain restrictions on asylum. So if you're like a known gang member, a known like international criminal, you can't just be like, oh, I'm seeking asylum in the United States. So number one, that's not happening. Number two, the idea that like countries are emptying their prisons or their mental institutions, that Donald Trump likes to say, and they're just coming to the United States, is completely made up. There's not a single shred of evidence that backs that up. And Donald Trump just likes to say it to scare folks like yourself into voting for him. Trump's running a fear-mongering campaign, and you're like, based off of fear, voting for him. And you shouldn't do that.
Bro, I didn't even vote for Trump in 2016 or 2020.
That's fine.
But until I started doing my own research and making my own decisions, that's when I felt like Trump was...
What research led you to Trump, my man? I mean...
Bro, not listening to whatever the fuck is on TV.
I'm not asking you to listen to what's on TV, my man. I'm not sitting here saying, hey, listen to the TV. I'm just saying, listen to the facts, listen to the federal data we have. And the federal data backs up what I'm saying.
Yeah, the facts are saying that 15,000 convicted murderers from other countries have been deported into America. What do you mean?
They have not. So this is, they haven't been deported into the United States, number one. Number two, it's around 13,000. And that number isn't about people who came in during the Biden administration. This stretches back decades, including the Trump administration, that 13,000 people have come in. And also a lot of these people are in jail. So
they're in jail.
Yes. They're either if they're not on the deportation docket, they're in jail. In prison in some state in the United States.
How do you what do you know about that to even I don't understand.
Fact checks?
Fact check what? Fact check
the claim.
Bullshit,
yeah.
Bro. On what? Who's doing the checking?
Experts in the field.
I'm
so
sure.
For example, I have a CBS fact check here.
So why is the Border Control back Trump and not Kamala Harris?
So the Border Patrol Union, which is not the Border Patrol, it's a union of Border Patrol members, endorsed Donald Trump, but they also endorsed Kamala Harris's immigration policy.
So, bro, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm just telling you what they did, my man. They endorsed Kamala Harris's immigration policy, the one that she proposed that was written by Democrats and Republicans, the one that Donald Trump killed, the one that he brags about killing. Yeah, they endorsed that policy.
So why are they backing Trump if they endorse that policy?
The Border Patrol Union is historically a conservative union. They're historically more liberal unions, historically more conservative unions.
They're the ones that are in the field and see what's going on more than anybody else.
I mean, all right. I mean, we can make that same argument with unions that have endorsed Kamala Harris. The UAW, which is a huge union of workers all around the United States, are in the field. They see it better than everybody else, and they're voting for Kamala Harris based off of labor. Right? So the argument is not like, oh, this union endorsed this person.
Border protection right now. We're not talking about the rest of the unions.
No, I'm aware, but I'm just pointing out that there are plenty of unions who have endorsed Kamala Harris, and I can make that same argument back to you, but I'm not making that argument. The point is,
Democratic cities, I don't understand.
Wait, what?
Most of the unions that support, I feel like that support Kamala are in these Democratic states like New York City and whatever, but it's pretty much just New York, I feel like.
No, that's not true. I mean, these unions are national. So they're not just focused in certain cities. There are unions that are specific to certain areas, but the UAW, for example, is not just a city-specific union. It's all across the United States. And the point is that there are plenty of unions who have endorsed Kamala, but I'm not making the argument to you that, oh, this union endorsed Kamala Harris, you must vote for her, and that this union knows better. I'm saying that, hey, this union knows a lot, and there's data supporting why they endorse Kamala Harris. However, the union's endorsing Donald Trump. There's not data to support that.
Bro, my point is that the union is, the Border Patrol is with Trump. What does these other unions have to do with anything? We're talking about border policies, no?
Yeah. So again, the argument I was making is that there are plenty of unions that endorse Kamala Harris. So it's not. I know we're talking about border policy.
Border control.
Wait, what state are you voting in? For example, just out of curiosity.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. New Jersey, historically on the southern border, a big problem for New Jersey, right? It's just funny that it's your main issue. But I know that we're talking about immigration policy. I was just pointing out to you that there are plenty of unions that have endorsed Kamala Harris in, a variety of different ways.
Border, dude.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware that we are talking about the border.
Kamala Trump. Kamala Harris.
Yeah. I'm aware.
That,
I'm
that's the
aware that we are
argument.
talking about the border. I was just making a comparison for you. Don't know if you got that, but
What
that's
does that
okay.
comparison do? We're talking about a specific topic.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware. Your whole argument is that, oh, the Border Patrol Union is endorsing Donald Trump. That means we should vote for him. I'm saying, okay, by that same argument, if you care about labor, if you care about the economy, if you care about reproductive rights and healthcare, then you'd be voting for Kamala Harris because a bunch of unions in these different sectors have endorsed Kamala Harris. So it was just a comparison based off of union endorsements. That's all. But in terms of border policy, again, Donald Trump is still the guy who blocked a bipartisan border bill that was written by Democrats and Republicans. He's still that guy. And that policy that you're talking about was endorsed by the Border Patrol Union. So if you're so heavy on the Border Patrol Union's endorsement, then you'd be angry at Donald Trump for blocking that bill.
Dude, there got to be something that's wrong with the bill, or else I personally feel like the Border Patrol would be like, oh, fuck Donald Trump.
So now you're saying the Border Patrol Union's wrong.
You got to go for Kamala Harris.
Wait, hold on. Now you're saying the Border Patrol Union's wrong. You're saying that, well, they're endorsing Donald Trump, so we have to vote for him. But when they endorse a bipartisan border bill, you say there must be something wrong with the bill. Can you not see your own bias in this situation? Can you not see that you're like picking and choosing when to value a union endorsement?
Did something, if that bill was so good and he blocked the bill, and now it's technically, like you're saying, Trump's fault. Why would the union back Trump and not Kamala?
I don't know. You got to talk to the union. I don't think it makes any sense either. But the fact of the matter is that they endorsed that bill. I think it makes absolutely no sense why the Border Patrol Union is backing Donald Trump as a candidate as opposed to Kamala Harris. But that's their strangeness to sort out, not mine. The point is that if you value the Border Patrol Union's endorsement of Donald Trump, and you're saying, well, the Border Patrol Union said it, so we should listen to them, then you also must value their endorsement of the bipartisan immigration bill proposed by Kamala Harris and Senate Republicans and Joe Biden, which is a bill that Donald Trump blocked.
They were probably paid by this leftist party just like you are. Like, what else?
So now the Border Patrol Union is not to be trusted?
Maybe certain individuals, yeah. What do you mean? This is...
What? So... This is baffling.
Who's in like, what do you mean?
This is baffling. I don't understand. So the Border Patrol Union, if they endorse Donald Trump, they're great. But if they endorse a bipartisan border bill written by both sides, then they're paid off by leftists. Can you not see the hypocrisy there?
I see what you're saying, but at the end of the day, they're going with Trump. So if I had to choose, okay. I would take the professional side rather than anything else. Like,
yes, but they also endorsed a bill that Donald Trump blocked.
But they're not endorsing Kamala. When you like,
I think we've gotten past that. I think we've solidified that.
Good. Don't you think they would endorse Kamala?
Yeah. Again, I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. I think it's very strange, but the fact stands that they endorse that policy. So either you value the endorsement of the Border Patrol Union or you do not.
Donald Trump. That's the facts. The facts are that
as I just mentioned,
Trump, bro.
Yes, we have solidified the fact that the Border Patrol Union endorsed Donald Trump. I'm there with you. We have 100% solidified that. You don't have to rationalize that with me. But the fact of the matter is that their contradiction there of like, oh, why they endorse this policy and why they're endorsing Trump, I don't know. It's their strangeness to sort out, not our strangeness to sort out.
Maybe they didn't know they were going to bring in 20 million migrants. I don't know.
Where are you getting million from? 20 million migrants. Where are you getting that from?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean? That's what they're all saying, no?
That's not what they're saying. I don't know where you got that number from.
So what is it, 15?
I don't know where you got that 15 from. There have been like around 10 million encounters of the border over the past 4 years, but encounters does not mean that somebody came into the country. Matter of fact, the majority of people who are encountered are rejected.
They're not stopping people. What encounters?
That's also not, as I just said, we have Department of Homeland Security data on this. Again, the Border Patrol publishing data on this. The majority of people who are encountered at the border are rejected from coming in. So if there have been 10 million encounters, we can at least say that the majority of those people have been rejected.
I doubt that's true, bro.
I don't know how many times I have to say this, but the data is backing up what I'm saying right now. I'm happy to show you articles on what I'm saying right now. I'm happy to show you the data if you'd like. Just ask, it's fine. But yeah.
But the last thing to say is that the Border Patrol is endorsing Trump.
Okay. All right, man.
What else can you say?
You have a good rest of your night. We're hanging our hat on one thing. We're hanging our hat on one thing. Okay. Nicole, thank you for the $5. Damn, you're killing it again tonight. Nicole, I appreciate everything you do and all your support. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Leah. I don't know why I called you Lee. Leah, thank you for the $10 saying I trust everything you say. Leah, I appreciate that. That's very kind. It's a lot of trust. I appreciate that. It's mayor voted in Tennessee today, Maryland. Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you for voting. And thank you for getting out there and early voting. Sydney, thank you for the $2 toward our date whenever you come to Ohio. I appreciate that, Sydney. Thank you so much. Alexis, thank you for the $5. Voted early in Illinois today. As a woman, a public school teacher, and a 20-something who wants to buy a house someday, couldn't not vote for Kamala. Keep doing what you're doing. Alexis, public school teacher. I mean, God, we love teachers. Thank you so much, Alexis, for being a teacher. And thank you so much for voting for Kamala Harris. I appreciate you. Karen, thank you for the $1. I'm undocumented and received $0 for college I worked for. See, there you go. There you go. Daisy, thank you for the $1. Also, sorry for my girls blowing up your ex last night. My ex last night? Are you talking about Twitter or maybe some clarification, Daisy? I'd appreciate that. I honestly don't. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Venmo Cash App in the link in the bio if you want to support the live. Also, drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. We are covering the election until Election Day, of course, and then after, because I have a sneaking suspicion that Election Day will not be the end of it. But also double tap the screen if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. All that good stuff. All right. If you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. Just type MAGA or Trump 2024 or whatever it might be. And we'll go from there. And we can bring you up and we can have a chat and you can tell me, why you support Donald Trump. Makes no sense. Truly makes no sense. Said it before, said it again. There is no reason to vote for Donald Trump. Not a single one. Not a single one. Let's see. Sebastian says he's Trump. We'll bring him up. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Sorry, if I'm missing your gift or sub, just know that I appreciate you. Just know that I appreciate you. You know I love you all. Hello?
Hello.
How old are you?
25. How old are you?
All right, you're good. I'm 20. I'm 22. The reason I ask is you have to be above the age of 18 to be on TikTok Live. That's all. I don't, not
completely understand.
All right, man. So why you MAGA?
All right. There's multiple reasons why I'm MAGA, but you could really ask, why am I a Republican? Because historically, the Republican Party has truly always been the party that has preserved the Constitution and that has fought for the freedom of mankind, essentially. But we can have that debate another day. To answer
Sorry, go ahead.
To answer what you're asking, essentially, or to prove, Donald Trump has a record as a president of the United States. Kamala Harris's record, in comparison to Donald Trump's, you could argue is insignificant. Donald Trump actually, in a military sense, allowed the military to strike terrorist organizations, their leaders, bad people, to protect the United States of America. Kamala Harris has done nothing in her capacity in any way as a senator, as a prosecutor, to protect the people of the United States. And the world is extremely unstable right now. There's bad people that are trying to do harm to our nation. And we got Democrats, not trying to say this in a way that's demonizing all Democrats, but we got people who align with the Democratic Party that are dissolving our sovereign borders as a nation, allowing millions of people into our country that are putting the American citizen at a disadvantage for God knows how many years after this. Donald Trump, I believe, is a man who is capable to defend the United States from enemies foreign and domestic and preserve the Constitution of the United States of America for
What the fuck? That's some crazy shit, man. That's some crazy shit, man. Are you sorry? I don't want to cut you off. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm
okay. Please elaborate how two things that you just said at the end there, and I want to get into all of what you just said. So just Trump is better suited to protect the United States from enemies, foreign and domestic. More American troops died abroad under Donald Trump than they did Joe Biden.
Okay,
So where's the protection for those folks?
Wait, hold on. Who's Where's this coming from?
This is federal government agency that tracks American deaths abroad. And I can pull up the Newsweek article if you'd like.
What agency? Because the Newsweek article is different from a federal agency.
Yeah, they cite the agency. I'll pull it. Do you want me to pull it up for you?
You can pull it up. Pull it up.
Sure.
I invite you to present that information because, I mean, we can sit here and argue over the fact that we've been in war for decades and very brief periods of peace. And it's not just Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, that we're in war.
So 65 American service members died in combat while serving under Trump during his time in the White House. There were fatalities every year of his presidency, according to the hostile action records compiled by the Defense Casualty Analysis System, DCAS, which is maintained by a government defense agency. And then under Biden, so far, there have been around 16.
Okay.
So you're saying that Donald Trump is better suited to protect the United States, both foreign and domestic, from enemies abroad, whatever. How is that the case if more American troops are dying under him? And how is that the case if our...
Do you see what the world is falling into with these multiple
I'm looking
foreign
at the world,
conflicts?
yes.
Yes, okay. So, okay. We agree on that. So there is a very unstable balance in the world. War is happening. North Korea is now sending troops into Russia. We have Israel and the Middle East that are in shambles. Iran, who now has money to be able to actually develop weaponry
and nuclear weapons because of Trump.
Oh, well, we can sit there and say because of Trump, but did not the Iranian government just receive, under the Biden administration, billions of dollars?
No, they didn't receive billions of dollars. What happened with the Biden administration is we made a prisoner swap. So there were Americans sitting in prison in Iran.
Okay.
Separated from their families. And now because of Joe Biden, those Americans are sitting at their dinner table tonight with their families reunited. I think those families probably have a pretty strong view of what happened. And we didn't give them $6 billion in exchange for the prisoners. What we did,
hold on,
I'm not done yet. What we did, though, was What we did, though, was unfreeze $6 billion. That was a deal between South Korea and Iran for oil. Now, that money was in a bank account specifically controlled by the U.S. Treasury and maintained by the U.S. Treasury only for humanitarian needs. It was also maintained by Qatar and our allies in Qatar. So they couldn't take that money and just spend it on whatever, right? This was strictly controlled by the United States government. And by the way, that bank account has been frozen again. So they actually don't have access to any of that money.
Did the United States not pull out of Afghanistan under the Biden administration?
Yeah, in a deal that was initiated by Donald Trump called the Doha Accords. Yes, that did happen.
It was executed poorly because of an incompetent president.
No, it was executed exactly how Donald Trump's administration set it up to be executed. Because
13 people died that day. American.
Yeah, and again, and by the way, those people are heroes. They're American heroes. They put their lives on the line for this country.
But
Donald Trump had 65 American soldiers die under him, and you don't mention them. Like 45. Here's the thing.
What war did we get into under the Trump administration? I'd like you to present that. What war? What actual war?
We didn't get into any war in terms of American troops being involved in combat under Trump, just like we're actually in less war right now under the United States with Joe Biden in terms of troops being involved in direct conflict.
The presidential office is one that's sacred that, in my opinion, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have abused in every step of the way, have neglected, actually, more is a better term, have caused the world to become unstable.
So what did Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do to cause the world to become unstable?
Well, let's use Afghanistan for one purpose.
In a deal that was negotiated by Donald Trump and criticized by Donald Trump's own former allies, such as H.R. McMaster.
Listen, the elderly have every right to live in peace as they age, but Joe Biden has had no chance whatsoever to live out the rest of his life. He has been old. He has been
voting for Trump,
and he has been incompetent. The same people that voted for a senile man. I'm voting for a man who's cognitively there. And
Trump would be the oldest president ever in American history if elected by the end of his term. So please spare me the whole he's not living out his elderly. You're voting for Trump.
He's
the oldest person to ever be nominated by a major party.
There's a balance to it where J.D. Vance is a younger candidate.
Inexperienced.
He served the United States. Look, to become president, you have to serve the people. And J.D. Vance served the people by joining the Marine Corps. Public service.
So did Tim Walz?
Serving himself. Well,
Tim Walz?
Tim Walz, I'm not debating that. I don't know anything about that. So
yeah, but just to be clear, like just because I think that people who serve in the military are also heroes and always thankful for their service, just like I'm thankful for J.D. Vance's service. But that doesn't mean that you should be president of the United States. J.D. Vance has only been a senator for like a year and a half.
Every citizen of the United States has the right to become president. And if the people agree with what they're saying, their positions, the people elect them. In my opinion,
I totally sure. But by the way, your guy tried to overturn an election where that happened in 2020.
What was overturned?
Trump tried.
He left the White House. He left.
Yeah, after 2 weeks earlier having an insurrection at the Capitol. So and also filing many court cases, having them all lose, being told by his own attorney general, own FBI, own Department of Homeland Security, own family that he didn't win the election, still persisting anyway, trying to pressure, state legislators into overturning the elections in their state. Trying to submit a false slate of electors so that his votes are counted on January 6th, but not Joe Biden's. I mean, you can't attempt murder and then get away with it and be like, well, he didn't die. It's like, yeah, Trump left office, but he certainly tried to overturn the election.
No election was overturned. Joe Biden took the oath of office.
Listen to what I'm saying. He tried to overturn an election. Thank God he failed, but he certainly tried.
He has not been convicted of any crime like that. He's not been convicted of a crime.
He's been indicted.
Indictment is a very big difference between conviction, because
I agree. But by the way, he has been convicted of crimes surrounding to the 2016 election. But in terms of 2020, you're right. He has not been convicted of trying to overturn the election. He's been indicted for that. And the only reason he hasn't been convicted yet and gone to trial is because he pushed the trial back by appealing literally every single thing. And also, there's a difference between guilty in a court of law and guilty in the court of public opinion. So we can all acknowledge that the law has not found Donald Trump. Erica, thank you for the baby dragon. We can all acknowledge that the law has not found Donald Trump guilty of anything, but the evidence is astounding. There's overwhelming evidence that Donald Trump broke the law. And there are plenty of people in history who have broken the law and not been convicted who you would say is guilty. Some examples come to mind: O.J. Simpson and Epstein. Epstein was not convicted of the majority of things that he did because he died. O.J. Simpson was acquitted, but you would still say that, yeah, it's likely.
You made
with Epstein, certainly, that they committed crimes.
You made a comparison of public opinion, the law of public opinion. That is not what this nation. That is not what this nation is. We are a nation of laws, not men. That is a fundamental belief.
Again, just to be clear, I'm recognizing that we are a nation of laws. Some of these laws your guy has broken, by the way, and been found guilty of, number one. But number two, I'm aware that we're a nation of laws. But the point is that we, the people, can make a judgment on the evidence. Just like you can make a judgment on the evidence against Jeffrey Epstein, right?
I mean, absolutely.
Okay, but he wasn't convicted. So you would still say, well, it's up in the air. I would say, no, it's not up in the air.
He killed himself. He couldn't have been convicted. He was
correct. But the fact of the matter stands that he was not convicted. So I would still say that Jeffrey is guilty as hell. You know what? And that is a terrible person. But in your view, since he hasn't been convicted yet, you would say, well, it's up in the air. I would say, no.
Lee Harvey Oswald hasn't been convicted. John Wilkes Booth hasn't been necessarily convicted in a sense through court, but we're talking that, and just to prove a point, and I want to point this up, he took a bullet, there was an assassination attempt. It seems like whenever a Republican president is actually wanting to fight for the people, the Democratic Party in some capacity, whether it's our institutions or whatever, tried to assassinate the president. We had Lincoln was killed by a Democrat. Everyone forgets that. Lincoln was killed by a Democrat. And I'm using a historical significance to apply it to modern.
This is the craziest point I've ever heard. First of all, you just proved my point, saying that Lee Harvey Oswald and Wilkes Booth were not convicted, but you'd still say that they shot these people. I would say yes. The point is that the evidence is astounding, and in the court of public opinion, we would deem them guilty, just like you are deeming them guilty right now. You would also deem Epstein guilty, even though he hasn't been convicted, just like I would. But with Donald Trump, then you're saying, well, it's up in the air, even though the evidence is overwhelming. The hypocrisy is astounding. And also using historical examples of assassination attempts and assassinations that took place hundreds of years ago is really silly, in my view, given the fact that, Trump and the people that tried to take his life, which, by the way, nobody supports. Nobody wants that to happen. But those people, the first one was a registered Republican. The second one voted for him.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I'll let someone else get on here. This has been fun. This is an after work, just chilling in your car type of moment. So
Sure. All right, man. We'll go have a relaxing rest of your night. All right. Enjoy
regardless
the
if Trump or Kamala wins, whoever, I love the American people and
I love that.
I want prosperity. That's all I want.
Totally agree, man. Have a good one. All right.
You too, buddy.
Just anyway. Max, thank you for the $1. Fortnite Sigma is the comment. He also sent another $1 saying Sigma Fortnite. So thank you, Max. Jennifer, thank you for the $20. Thanks for shouting at the UAW. Solidarity from this blue dot in a red state, local 685. Yo, Jennifer, we love our union members and we love our unions. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. Stephanie, thank you for the $5. I appreciate you. Means a lot. Maya, thank you for the $2.01. Sydney's going to have to wait till after our date in New Jersey. God, apparently have things to go to in many states here. Daisy, thank you for the $1. Haha, yes, Twitter, we were getting shipped. Oh, I didn't see that on Twitter, Daisy. You have to send me the link. Jenny, thank you for the $25. Huge fan. Thanks for all that you do. Jenny, I'm a huge fan of you too. I hope you know that. I appreciate the $25. Thank you. Helping Humans, thank you for the $1. Thank you for being on the side of helping and true. I appreciate that. Helping Humans. Thank you so much. I love the username as well. Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio if you want to support the live. Also drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. I think we're like 13 followers away from 200 for the night. So if you would be so kind, that would mean a lot. Also double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 500,000 likes, and follow me on Snapchat, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. All those links are in my bio. I do a wrap up of the debates every night on my Snapchat. So if you want to add me on Snapchat, Harry J. Sisson, same username everywhere. You know, all that good stuff. Yeah, you know the drill by now. You've heard it before. All right, let's bring up Nat. I think she was like, I think she was spamming in the chat that she was a Trump supporter. I'm not 100% sure. Hello. And you were also like gifting the last guy or the guy before, which is crazy, by the way. Hello.
I gave you gifts too, so I don't see the problem.
That's all right. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Oh, have I talked to you before?
I believe we might have.
All right. So why are you voting for Trump?
You asked me this last time, which I mean, obviously I knew I was going to get asked again, but.
Well, I mean, if you have a specific topic you want to talk about, you can. I'm just saying it to like open it up.
Well, I really wanted to tap in on what you said earlier 2 people ago, but they kind of took a lot of time, so now I forgot. But I will just say this so that I don't take up too much of your time. The reason I didn't give Kamala my vote this year, because I did vote Democrat last year without doing any research and blah, 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 being done.
You mean in 2020?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Last year, I was like, oh my gosh, I do not like Trump. He said this about women. I don't like it. So I voted Biden just to get him out. And I regretted that just because economically, it did not help me personally. And I don't think that it helped my family either. So that was one big reason why I decided to go back and vote Trump, because I already seen his, economy. Not saying it was perfect, not saying homie did everything great, but I'm just saying it was better. So
listen, if let me ask you this. If somebody builds up a business, all right, and they build up this business for a really long time, they do all of the work. The business was failing, and then somebody comes in, they completely revitalize the business. They build it up. Now it's super successful, making a bunch of money, a lot of employees, and all that good stuff. And then let's just say this person has to leave the business. Let's just say, I'm done. If they hand it off to somebody else, who's responsible for building the business? The person that built it up from the ground up, or the person that inherited that business? Who benefited that business the most?
Person who inherited it.
Wait, what? So the person that was given the business did more to help the business?
No. Okay, so I misunderstood your question.
So the person who built it up, right?
Right. I thought you said
right.
who
Gotcha. So
more. Okay.
The point of me making that argument is that that's exactly what happened with Donald Trump. Obama built up the economy for 8 years following the crash in 2008. 8 years he built up the economy. He had the longest stretch of positive job growth in American history. Then Donald Trump comes into office. He inherits that economy and takes credit for it. He didn't actually do anything to help the economy. He didn't pass any policy or anything of the sorts. He just took credit. And he has folks like yourself, unfortunately, bought into this idea that somehow he's this economic whiz who just managed to build up the economy. No, it's Obama's economy. You should be thanking President Obama and Vice President Biden at the time.
I did some fact checking on that because I've been hearing a lot of that. And I went to WPR.org. So let's stipulate that presidents of both parties often get more credit and blame for economic conditions that really like they deserve, or given that much of what happens is outside of their control. But setting that aside, I hear a lot, did Trump coast on the momentum of Obama or have things turned around on his watch? So I did some digging, and White House economic Kevin Hassett insists that Trump deserves the credit.
What was his name?
Kevin Hassett.
Kevin, how do you spell Hassett?
Hassett.
Uh-huh.
But he stated,
So just to be clear, this is... the name sounded familiar. Kevin Hassett is an American economist who is a former senior advisor and chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors in the Trump administration.
Who cares what administration he's under? He's an economist. So he stated that economic historians will 100% accept the fact that there was an inflection at the election of Donald Trump, and a whole bunch of data items started heading north, like the average hourly earnings of all employers. The 3.6 million jobs added in the 19 months since Trump took office are roughly comparable to the 3.9 million added by the previous running from Obama. And
so this is
jobs through 3.3, fastest since 1984. And then likewise, unemployment steadily declined, but that was mainly because of COVID, because nobody could work. So
the point is that somebody that's serving under Donald Trump, complimenting Trump's economy, is probably not the best source. Like Joe Biden has a Council of Economic Advisors. I bet if I cited you one of those folks talking about how the economy is so great, you'd probably dismiss them, right?
Okay, no,
so
but I also...
the point is that... One sec. So the point is that people serving under an administration, they can be really reliable. They can be really good sources, but we have to actually see what they're saying, compare that to the data. So I just looked up the data, for example, and we just look at median hourly earnings. This is one of the data points you cited. There is no exponential increase, right? There is no exponential increase under Donald Trump. It went up steadily, and it spiked during COVID because a lot of low-wage workers lost their jobs. And so the average hourly... One sec. A lot of low-wage workers lost their jobs, bringing up the average salary in the United States. Because a lot of wealthy people... Can I finish one sec? A lot of wealthy people still have their jobs, but it's linear, right? There's no exponential growth here, and there's no data you can cite or graph you can point to.
So that's not on WPR.org, not these stats that I looked at. That is just a picture you blew up from images from what you searched. So I'm not going to consider that a reliable source. I apologize, but I'm not. So
okay. So that's just a graph of hourly wages. It's not like some random graph. It's like this is data that's published by the federal government. But just to be clear, you can look up a graph if you like. I would encourage you to go look up a graph of hourly wages in the United States and how they've grown from any time period, whether it be 2010 to 2024 or going back even to the early 2000s. That's fine. But the point is that there is no exponential growth. And you're also, again, citing a Trump administration official. Of course, a Trump administration official is going to talk positively about Donald Trump.
There are a lot of people under Trump's admin that did not speak highly of him. So I don't think that that's a fact either. I think he went off of his
I'd say that
you're
exactly right. And that's not a positive argument for Donald Trump, by the way. Like the fact that his own vice president does not endorse him is not like an argument in favor of you. That is an argument in favor of Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
Another reason.
Okay.
Why I'm not voting for Harris.
Yeah.
Both Harris and Biden supported policies that incentivized migration. Harris supported decriminalizing illegal entry into the U.S. You can find this on hoover.org.
Oh, you have notes.
No, I just have cites because people ask me a lot to cite what I say, and I ask for cites, so I like to respect having them as well.
Is
But,
Hoover.org based off of like Herbert Hoover?
I don't fucking know. Harris supported decriminalizing illegal entry into the U.S. during her brief 2020 presidential campaign, and I don't agree with that. So
wait, what year is it?
During her 2020 presidential
No, I heard you
campaign.
during your 2020 campaign. What year is it right now?
I know, but y'all want to bring up the past of what Trump has did and what he's done. So why can't we bring up the past of what she's done?
Oh,
what she
I'm
has
not
stood
saying
for?
you. I'm not saying you can't bring up the past. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm saying
gonna
it's just
look
not
at
that
what
great of
she
an
stand
argument.
for within her entire. You see what I'm saying? Because people like to go back to her general attorney. People like to go back to this.
Yeah,
So
so
I'm
I'm not
gonna
saying
go
that you
back.
can't bring up the past. That's like fine. That's fair game. But the point is that she's evolved on
Right,
these
'cause
positions.
you guys bring it up on Trump.
And she right now, and just I'll get to that in just a second. But no problem with doing that. But right now, she has a different view than she had then. I think that it's perfectly
Oh,
fine
really?
for
So you
people
don't
to
think
evolve. Can I
Trump doesn't
finish?
have any different
Can I finish?
views?
Can I finish?
Can you answer that?
She has a different view right now than she did then. I think it's good that people evolve, and also like. You're not going to
So why
say that
can't you
Donald
guys
Trump's
give
views in the
Trump that
19
credit?
whatever, or it's like what he's holding now. So, and also when we bring up the past with Donald Trump, it's not views he's held.
Instead
You're
of
talking
giving a
about
word salad, can you
Natalie,
answer my question?
Natalie,
My
whatever
name's
your name
not
is.
Natalie.
Nat, you
all.
just got to relax for a second. You just got to take a breather. So I'm not bringing up positions that Donald Trump held in the 1970s. Like, for example, one time he said he was anti-gay marriage. I don't make that argument to people because Donald Trump has stated
Well, you're
otherwise
probably
and
just
like
pivoting.
and
Did your
things like
neck
that.
hurt from the
However,
pivot
but what I
down?
am saying is that when Donald Trump assaults women and it takes place in the
So, right, you're
1990s,
pivoting.
then that is also fair game. That is also
Real
something that
hard.
he should be rightly criticized for. If you
So do
assault
you
women and you're
support her
found liable in court for
decriminalizing
doing
illegal
it, you should
entry?
be criticized for doing that.
Do you support her decriminalizing illegal entry?
No, I don't, and neither does she.
Okay, so you're saying that she has different views, but no one can give Biden or Trump the credit that he might have different views?
I've
Because
never
even
said
him
that
and
about
Vance-
Donald Trump.
Okay, but you guys act like it because him and Vance both
I-
came to the. So let me finish. I'll let you
I've never
finish.
wait. But you didn't really let me finish. By the way, you kept
did,
talking,
though.
but also I didn't. I've never said that about
Because
Donald
you're
Trump.
rambling about nonsense shit.
I spoke for
Like,
less
you
than
really
like
were.
45 seconds. By the way, the attention span is crazy. It's like a goldfish in here.
I know, right? So, like I was fucking saying, since you like to interrupt people and make it look like you have a point when you really don't,
Okay, very nice, very nice.
like you guys don't give Trump the credit that maybe he might have a different mindset. It's like, oh no, he's stuck in his ways. He's going to do this again. But you guys want to sit there and say that Harris doesn't stand for that anymore. Do you know that? Did she tell you that? Have you heard her say that? She defunded the police.
When did she defund the police?
She did. Her and Biden both defunded the police.
When?
This
when?
happened during
When?
Biden's presidency. I'm
When?
not going to
With
give
what?
you dates. If you know so much, you should know the fucking
No,
dates.
it didn't. This didn't happen.
Bro, you're tripping. You got to be like.
Oh,
an
you're
AI.
tripping. You're tripping. Please
You
show me
really
where
do.
Biden or Harris defunded the police. Please, please point me to that.
Well, I can't get out of this like when I'm in the live because then my
Well,
phone
you're
will
saying
fuck
you have sites out in front of you, right? Yeah, this
Right,
didn't
not
happen.
the
I just
fucking-
Nat, this didn't happen. You don't have to like
I
make a
didn't
bad
get the
argument.
dates.
You
Because
don't have
that's
to make a bad.
stupid for somebody to fucking ask.
You don't have to make a bad argument. You can just acknowledge that this
It's
didn't
not
happen.
that I don't have a bad argument just because you asked
you
if
do
I don't
have a bad
the dates
argument.
and
I'm
I
saying
don't
you
have
do.
them. No, I don't. That's a
you
fact. You can look it up, Mr.
Please,
Look Up Everything.
then please do it. Please cite me where Biden and Kamala Harris.
What did I just tell you? Me getting out of the app will fuck my phone up, and then I'll have to leave the live. So I'm
So
not doing
look,
that.
I'm just telling you that it didn't happen. And if you can't cite any data or like any evidence
Well, I
that
know
it
for a
did, you
fact
shouldn't
that
be
it
making
did,
the argument in the first
because
place.
I fact checked it, so I know it did.
It did not. But then I'm going to
did,
need you to
bro.
find
Like,
another
we can argue
device
about
right
this
now.
till I'm blue in the face. I
I'm
got
going to
all
need you.
mine.
You know what? You listen. You tell me what to look up. You tell me what to look up. What do you want me to look up?
I just told you what to look up.
Say it again.
You're joking.
Say it again. What do you want me to look up? Like exactly.
Since you want to know so bad, when and who, under whose administration was the police defunded? Whatever the fuck you
That's-
want to look up, whatever your heart desires, word it however you
Can
want.
I just look up Biden defunded the police? Is that fair?
I don't think
fact
that's
check?
going to pull up exactly what we're looking for if you put Biden, but do whatever your heart wishes.
So I just looked up Biden defunded the police, and the first things that come up are fact checks. So Biden.
Read them instead of looking at yourself in the camera.
I'm looking at all these. We have PolitiFact, we have CNN, we have factcheck.org, we have BBC, we have ABC, we have Reuters, all of these different things. There's not a single position or article saying that Biden or Harris wanted to defund the police. I'm looking at them right now.
Okay,
There's no
well,
evidence
I'm just
that they
saying
did.
There's a lot of which I still disagree.
Look, Snopes,
but
did Biden support
just saying, I'm not going to
false.
concede to what you want me to say.
False. Well, of
No.
course you're not going to concede because you're very partisan, and like even
No,
if you're
I'm not
wrong, you're
partisan at
stubborn.
all.
You'll dig your feet. You are partisan.
I'm
You're going
not-
to dig your feet.
I'm not
You're going
stubborn.
to dig
I'm
your
very
feet into the ground and
open-minded.
like stand on like
But I don't
Biden
believe
defunded
your
the police or
fucking
something like that.
ABC sites.
Obviously that didn't happen. Obviously that's not true. You'll just stand by it anyway.
I don't believe your
understand
alphabetical ass
I
sites.
understand the
Sorry.
argument that you're making
Unless
right
you
now.
pull
It's
up
just
a
not a good
gov,
one.
unless you pull up a .gov or whatever the fuck, I ain't gonna believe you. Sorry.
You were just not pulling
I'm
up
sorry
.govs a
that
second
hurt your
ago.
feelings,
Wait,
but-
hold on. You were just pulling up not .govs a second ago. You were saying WPR.
Right, I had a .org. That wasn't
Wait,
on like
You said
that was just
you
quotes,
said
bro.
.govs.
like
Wait, you said .govs. You were just using.
regarding that. Are you retarded?
Oh well, don't say that word. If you say that, I'm gonna have to kick you again.
Okay, do it. Bye.
Okay, goodbye. It's the easiest decision I've ever had to make in my entire life. Just very, very, very unintelligent, unfortunately. It happens. Ashley, thank you for the $5, saying to one of the very few men that women can trust with their drinks. We love you. I appreciate you, Ashley. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the support. Victoria, thank you for the $5. Thank you for trying to inform people about Trump. I was one of his victims. Holy shit. I was one of his victims. He walked in on me and other 50 young girls in 97. He also groped me at Miss USA and Miss Universe in 2009, 2011. Holy crap. Yo, Victoria, thank you for saying that and bringing that to my attention. Like, we always talk about how like Trump walked in on girls during the beauty pageant. So it's like crazy to actually hear from somebody. I appreciate that, Victoria. If you ever want to come up and talk about that experience in the live, like, feel free to do that. 100%. We can definitely get you up here. That is insane. And I'm, first of all, sorry. And it's like ridiculous that this guy is still running for president. I mean, oh God. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you. And thank you for making your voice heard and talking about this stuff publicly. I can only imagine how hard that is. So thank you for being here. Christopher, thank you for the $25. My wife and 12-year-old daughter attended the Kamala rally in Kalamazoo last weekend. Best day of their lives, Madam President. Here we go. Yeah, I certainly hope so. A week, folks. Brianna, thank you for the $5. Whoa, Harry, these girls need to back off. We're going on a date when I visit New York City. Golly. I'm telling you, I have a schedule in like every state at this point. Golly, I appreciate that, Brianna. Thank you for the $5. That's very kind. And then the next one, Sydney, thank you for the $2. So what should we do for our first date? Jeez Louise. I appreciate all of you. You guys are flattering, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Mara, Steelers stay on top. Please just stop talking. I just never want to hear from you ever again. Jennifer, thank you for the $15 for booting Nat. Yeah, that was truly like the easy decision I've had to make. Caden, thank you for the $3. Any good Broadway shows in New York City you recommend? Hamilton. But I feel like you probably could have seen that coming. It's a great show, though. I'd highly recommend. Jolly, thank you for the $1. The guy who did that to Lincoln was a conservative. Well, there you go, right? Venmo Cash App in the link in the bio if you want to support the live. Also, drop a follow if you haven't already. Double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 600,000 likes. It goes a long way. Boost the live, all that good stuff. And we're also 19 followers away from 300. So if you want to, follow, helps. Goes a long way. Yeah. MJV, Kalamazoo. Okay, good to know. I think I said it the same way the other night, and people were mad at me in the chat. Kalamazoo. You learn something new every day. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know. Hold on, let me. I had to turn on low battery mode. I apologize. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. If you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. Come on. Kalamazoo. We got it. We got there eventually. All right, let's see. Annie. Let's see if Annie is wanting to come up here. Oh, here we go. Kalamazoo. People are putting different things in the chat. Kalamazoo. Whatever, bro. Cal. Is it Cal? People are now. It's saying okay. Whatever, bro. Annie, hello. Are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
Why? Why on earth? How is that possible?
Because of people like you.
Because of people like me. Why do you say that?
Because you just make things up because you're probably getting paid to.
Like, what have I made up?
Well, just plenty of things, but let's just start
So
because
give
you
an
like
example
to
of
ask,
something I made.
you
Wait,
like,
hold on
no,
now.
no,
Hold on.
you like
Hold,
to have
hold,
questions.
hold
So
on.
no, I want to bring up a point,
I know.
Harry.
Wait. Hold on. Just take a time out. You're well. We're totally going to get to whatever point you'd like to bring up
Cool.
for sure. I have no
Let's do
problem.
that.
But what have I made up? You're making a very bold claim. You came up here and say I'm a Trump
Well,
supporter
you
because of
say
people like you,
he's
and you make stuff up.
racist.
So
You say he's racist. You say
Yes.
he's anti-women. How is he
Yes.
racist? How?
yeah. So for example, he has a long history of racism. So like in the 1970s, the Department of Justice sued him for housing discrimination because he would approve applications for white people and not people of color. What would happen is they would mark a person of color's application with a C. And with white people, they would have no marking on that. And the Department of Justice sued them. They actually ended up settling, and Donald Trump had to put like ads in New York City papers saying that they were.
So you're
Well, wait,
just-
I'm not done yet. They were saying that they were welcoming of people of color and things of that nature. Donald Trump then tried to countersue the DOJ. Both times he tried to do that, the lawsuit got thrown out. And then in the modern era of American history, Donald Trump claimed that the first black president was not born in the United States, saying that rather he was born in Africa. That is incredibly racist, incredibly disgusting. And Trump has, also put out an entire newspaper page on the Central Park Five, claiming that 5 children of color were guilty for crimes that they were not guilty of, and they maintained their innocence throughout that entire time. So there you go.
Okay, so I understand that you're saying that he questions some things about race. That doesn't mean racism. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden, your little friend there, says, "Oh, like in the jungle, like jungle people. Like, how is that not
What?
racist? You can't,
What are you
you can't
talking
do
about?
it both ways, Harry. You can't do it both
What are
ways."
you even? What
But
are you even talking
let
about?
me ask you. Let me ask you your question. My question that I have to respond to because
But are you not going to respond to the housing discrimination part of what I
am
said?
a female. No, I have a question that I've been waiting to ask you.
I know, but are you not going to respond to the housing discrimination part of what I just said? The fact that he discriminated based on race and housing? Is that not racist?
There's plenty of things that unfortunately are racist in the world, but both parties.
I'm asking,
do it,
is
so
that
don't
racist?
ask.
Is Donald Trump discriminating based on race and housing racist or not?
No, I don't. I do not believe it right now.
Wait, you don't think that discriminating based on race is racist? You don't think that's racist?
You don't think discriminating on race is racist?
Hold on.
Obviously it's racist.
Okay, so do you think that Donald Trump discriminating based on race in housing is racist?
Well, prove it to me. Where do you prove that?
Yeah, sure. Are you just not familiar
Oh
with this
wait,
case?
you're gonna Google something.
Yes, I'm going to just Google something.
Can I Google it too? Hold on, let me find it.
So
I don't
here's
know how to do it. I don't get paid millions of dollars to do that.
I don't either. I
You're
wish
gonna-
I did.
You're
My
gonna
God.
pull up one article. Cool.
You asked me to prove it to you.
I wish
so
I had
I'm
my
proving to you.
21-year-old daughter too, because we actually learn shit in school and not this stuff.
Okay, what are the 3 branches of government?
Again,
Okay, good. Just proving that the whole we learned shit in
so
school and
we
you
can't
don't.
get
Is
to
just,
my point. We're just gonna be
no,
on
we
your
will.
point.
But first of all, you asked me to prove it to you, so I'm trying to do that. I'm in the process of doing it.
Okay,
So here's
I'm
an
not
article from NPR. It's titled "Decades-Old Housing Discrimination Case Plagues Donald Trump." The Justice Department sued Donald Trump, his father Fred, and Trump management in order to obtain a settlement in which Trump and his father would promise not to discriminate. The case was eventually settled 2 years later after Trump tried to countersue the Justice Department for $100 million. Those allegations were dismissed by the court. Yeah.
Okay, so some people once upon a time said something, but all the time Trump's worked with plenty of black people and plenty of people have endorsed them before until he was president.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, though,
so
right?
some people say he is. That must mean everybody thinks he is, right?
Well, just because people of color have endorsed Donald Trump doesn't mean that he's not racist, right? So here, for example, let me read more from this article.
Okay,
The lawsuit was
so
based on evidence
Kamala's
gathered
not
by
racist?
Kamala Harris is not racist. The lawsuit was based on evidence gathered by
How is she not
testers for the new.
racist?
Hold on. The lawsuit was
How is
based
she
on.
not racist?
Do you have any evidence of her being racist?
Yeah, that she panders and fucking just acts like all of a sudden like she's part of that group that is racist.
Okay,
That is
so-
racist.
so
can be
basically
friends with
nothing
black
is my
people
understanding?
and have friends with black people and just be normal with black people without pandering to them.
So basically, okay. So what I'm hearing is nothing.
can just talk to them
the
like
lawsuit was
human
based on,
beings.
so nothing. You have nothing. The lawsuit was based on
No,
evidence gathered by
actually, how is
testers for
there
the New York
nothing,
City
Harry?
Human Rights
How
Division,
is
which
there
alleged that
nothing,
black
Harry?
people went to Trump buildings who were told that there were no no apartments available while white people were offered units. Back then, Sheila Morse worked as one of those testers. When a black New Yorker was turned down, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. When a black New Yorker was turned down for service and racial bias was suspected, Morse, who is white, would be dispatched to see if she received different treatment. In this case, a black man in search of an apartment in Brooklyn in 1972 saw a sign on the building saying apartment for rent. He met with the superintendent, and the superintendent said, "I'm very sorry, but the apartment is rented. It's gone." Morse says, so the gentleman said to him, "Well, why is there a sign out? I still see a sign that says the apartment for rent." And the superintendent said, "Oh, I forgot to take it down." When Morse went to the building to ask about the same apartment, she says, "They greeted me with open arms and showed me every aspect of the apartment." She reported her experience to the Human Rights Commission, which led to this investigation and eventual case against Donald Trump. I would say that's racist, wouldn't you?
It's so cute that you act like nothing ever in the world has ever happened that was not okay, and
What?
that it
I don't even
doesn't
know
go
what that
on
means.
both parts. Like
I don't
it
even know
doesn't
what
go
that
on
sentence
both
means.
parts.
That's like incoherent crap. So I'm just asking you a simple question. Is that not racist? Is Donald Trump and his company and his father discriminating on the basis of race? Racist or not?
No, I don't believe that the way that you're putting it in context is correct.
So just to be clear, a black man went in asking for an apartment that said it was for rent. He was rejected. They said that they forgot to take the sign down. The apartment was rented. A white person went in, and the superintendent in the building showed them the apartment in every aspect,
Well,
and they
maybe
welcomed
somebody
with them open
dropped
arms.
out in the time. You don't know. You don't know. Maybe it was rented, and then maybe somebody dropped out, and they gave it to somebody else.
That's
You don't know
literally not what
anything. You don't
happened
know. Were
because
you there?
this was back
Were
to
you
back.
there? It was probably before you were a little sperm in somebody's even brain.
So yeah, I was not alive at this point, but that doesn't
Okay,
mean we don't
so
have
you
documents
don't
on
know.
this stuff. But we do know though, because this happened. We have evidence here, and this was back to back. It wasn't like they sent an individual and then like 3 months later they came back and gave it to another individual.
How
This
do
was
you
back to
know?
back.
You're just
Because we
reading
have-
a
we
little
have, like-
thing on the internet. You don't actually know.
You understand that the Department of Justice and the lawsuits they bring and like court documents from these things are public, right?
All right. Can I ask my question now? I know
Yeah,
it's your
I mean,
show
it's just
and everything.
I'm
but
happy
I have,
to I'm
I have
happy to
another
let
question.
you answer
It's
your
not
question,
about
but
race.
I'm happy for you to ask your question, and like we'll get to it right now. But the fact that you can't even acknowledge that like discriminating based on race is racist
No,
is like
I already
crazy.
gave
It's like
you my point.
it
You're
really
just
shows
gonna
you how like
dance
it really
around
shows
it.
you how like deep you are in the MAGA cult to the point where you can't even criticize Donald Trump for like discriminating based off of race. That is insane. You gotta snap out of it. Gotta get back to reality. All right.
What? It's so cute that you just say cult. Like it's so funny.
Well,
Like,
you
there's
are in a cult. If
actual
you can't,
cults in the world.
if you in the year 2024 can't condemn somebody for discriminating in housing based on race,
I just
then you
told
either are
you
racist
weren't
or you're in a
there.
cult. There's
you
no
don't
there's no other
know
options.
that maybe somebody dropped out.
Do you have
I've
any
done
evidence to
leases.
suggest that that's the case?
Listen.
No.
In my job, I've done leases. I literally have done background checks
I
and
could
leases
not care
and
less.
leasing people apartments. So no, maybe somebody dropped out.
I
See,
could
actually have
not
knowledge,
care
and
less.
you don't
Do
want
you
to
have
hear
any?
it.
I could
You
not
don't
care
wanna
less.
hear
By the way, they did this test multiple times.
Okay.
So it wasn't like they just sent one person in and then another came in like 3 months later. They did this test multiple times with people of color, and they have evidence with the applications with C's on them for people of color. I mean, you're trying to do these mental gymnastics to try to justify Donald Trump's racism. And again, the only two possibilities with you defending this are either one, you are in a cult and you see no wrong in Donald Trump, or two, you yourself are racist and see no problem with discriminating based on race.
I don't see no things wrong with Donald Trump. I know that he should probably not talk sometimes.
Well, you
because
can't
people
condemn him
like
for
you
this.
will twist it.
You can't condemn him for this. You have to make up an excuse saying, well, maybe somebody dropped out. There's no evidence
I'm
that somebody
giving you a
dropped out, and this test was done multiple
different
times.
perspective, But you won't look at a different perspective, will you?
You're making up something. You're saying, well,
No,
what
I'm
if
not.
this happened?
I'm
Well,
asking
what
you,
if a
is it a
unicorn comes down
possibility?
and blesses us
I'm not
all? It's like,
making
who
up
the fuck?
something. I'm
We don't
asking
deal
you,
with
is it a
what ifs. We deal with
possibility?
facts, especially when it comes to the law.
Is it a
You're-
possibility, though?
But there is no possibility here of somebody
Why?
just
Were
dropping
you
out and
there?
that being the
You don't
anomaly
know.
because this was done multiple times. They didn't just send in one person and one tester. They did it multiple times and proved that there was a racial discrimination component with the Trump buildings. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway, go ahead, ask your question. It's crazy. It's crazy how you can't condemn him for this stuff. It's 2024. You think that racism is something you can easily condemn, but I guess not. Not when you vote for Donald Trump. You making a sandwich or something, or getting water?
Yeah, actually, I was actually doing something and not listening to your rambling. But
Sorry that again you can't condemn racism. I don't know what to tell you.
no, my question was, I wasn't even here to come here and talk to you about that. Is more about
You
you're
brought it
so
up.
about Kamala.
Okay.
Right?
So what's your question?
So do everybody have to play by your rules, or can we also talk about things?
No, I'm happy to talk about things with you, but just to be clear, the first thing you did in my live was that I made something up, and I asked you what did I make up, and you said that I made up Trump being
believe it's
racist.
made up. And I have my.
I have an article. I showed you
we
an
can
article.
live
I
in
read
different
portions of the article to you.
places. It's fine.
I read an article to you. I can pull up another article if you like. This is well documented.
Articles are
You
always correct. They're always correct.
Yeah, so if a bunch of different news organizations are saying the exact same thing and reporting on the exact same thing, it's likely that they are correct. And also, again, the court documents are public, but you just choose not to like research this stuff, right? You have to like come up with crap about Kamala Harris as opposed to researching Trump. Like when I asked you how's Kamala Harris racist, you're like, oh well, she panders. What? Like Trump discriminated based on race in housing, and you're like, well, who knows? But with Kamala Harris, you're like, well, she panders.
Black people
My
did
God.
she keep in jail over freaking weed charges?
That's actually not true. The majority of people that she prosecuted when it came to the green drug were people, I think actually 88% of the cases had additional charges such as trafficking or trafficking
And
or
how many
distributing.
people did she put in jail because their kids didn't go to school?
So that also didn't happen. You're just like making stuff up. Like this
So
is
like her working at McDonald's.
So she actually did work at McDonald's, but again, you're just making stuff up that she like sent like
So
half of the people
anyway,
in jail
we'll
were
talk
because their
about-
kids didn't go to school. That's crazy. Like why do that? I just don't. Why just make stuff up? I just don't understand why you're doing that.
That's
right
what you do. That's what you do.
But I'm still waiting for an example of me making something up.
I literally told you 12 things, but you won't believe
You
it.
told me you brought up Trump being a racist, and I explained to you why I think he's racist.
I didn't bring up Trump bringing racist. You did.
No, you brought up me saying that Trump is a racist, and as something I made up, and then I told you why I think that he's a racist. Yeah, so you asked me why you were bringing up Trump being a racist as an example of me making something up, and I'm asking you for further examples of me making something up. That's all.
Because you read an article, you think it's true.
I read an article plus court documents that were in the case. Yeah.
Okay, there's so many people black people that support Trump. Why is that if he's so racist?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you why they do that. I think that's weird. I also don't really, I'm like a straight white guy, so it's probably not my position to speak on, but I don't know why. I don't know why anybody of like
straight white guy.
Yeah, like
what does that have to do with anything?
Because I'm not gonna like speak for why like a person of color supports something that they do or don't, right? It's like I'm just like my own person. I'm not gonna speak for other people, right?
Maybe because they don't feel like he's racist just because you're supposed to say that he's racist. Because maybe some people
that's like whatever you just said is
is
completely incoherent. I have no idea what that means, but you're starting to sound like Trump.
Some people don't believe he's racist.
Yeah, you're starting to sound like Trump and Hannibal Lecter and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just looking at the facts. I'm just looking at the facts. The fact are that Trump accused the first black president, of being born in Africa when he wasn't. He discriminated based on housing. He accused 5 black kids of committing a crime that they didn't. It's yeah, I mean, this is like definitely racist. If Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or anybody in Democratic politics did the same thing, you'd be freaking out, rightfully so. But with Donald Trump, you just defend him and say that he can do no wrong and bow down to him, and of course, kiss the ring.
Okay, sure. So now can we get to my question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So with Kamala and everybody...
It's Kamala.
Whatever way you want to say it.
Well, it's pronounced a certain way. It's Kamala. It's really that easy. It's just like comma in a sentence, la. Just comma, la. Like, there's no reason to mispronounce somebody's name. You only just kind of look stupid when you do it. So it's just Kamala.
So it's about you talking again.
No, I'm but just correct yourself and then go ahead. You got it.
Okay. So with everything and transgender rights and women's rights and rights for abortion and Roe v. Wade and healthcare, as a woman who's been adopted, I was adopted as a very young age, and I also had a kid at a very young age, which I could have aborted.
Yep.
If I, felt like it would have ruined my life. What makes me feel like I should vote for her just because I'm a woman and those things.
I don't think anybody's saying like just vote for her because you're a woman. So like the entire premise of your question is bad. It's like nobody's saying that. By the way, can you mute your TV in the background? We can just hear it through the thing. I appreciate that.
Sports.
So nobody's saying that we want you to vote for Kamala Harris just because she's a woman. So like the entire premise of your question is bad. That's not my argument to you. I'm arguing that you should vote for Kamala Harris because she has a good record. She's dedicated her life to public service. She's fought for people her entire life, and she has good policy. And on the flip side of things, Donald Trump is a felon. He broke the law. He assaults women. He commits business fraud. And when he was president, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything good. He mishandled the pandemic and tried to overturn an election he didn't win. Those are like the major things in his presidency. So I say that the choice could be more clear based off of policy.
401k was way better under
Your 401k
Trump.
is higher right now.
And first of all, the COVID was like the end of his term. So
yes,
he didn't mishandle it. He was on the way out. So
it actually hit us in early 2020, meaning that Donald Trump had another year to deal with it. And during that year that he tried to handle it, he fumbled it. His own medical advisors talked about how he mishandled the pandemic. And we have examples of this, such as not refilling the federal stockpile of medical goods and devices, or throwing out the pandemic playbook that the Biden-Obama administration left for Trump, which was written by medical advisors and scientists. He just kind of threw it out.
Well, it's kind of funny if you believe COVID was a thing, but I don't really believe COVID was much of a thing. It just made people cost their jobs and
what
kids
the
not
fuck
go
does
to
that
school.
mean? What the fuck does that mean? Do I believe that COVID was a thing? What?
COVID was not as big of a thing as everybody made it.
Okay, so 1.2 million Americans died from COVID that we know of, likely much higher, around 2 million.
But
That's
was it
a pretty
COVID
big
or
deal to
something
me.
else?
No, it was COVID. That's a pretty big deal to me.
They called it COVID.
No, it's not. They called it COVID.
How many people were told that they had to be vaccinated or they would lose their jobs, including me?
It's called
and
capitalism.
they got vaccinated and they still got sick.
So that's what we call capitalism. In the United States, companies are allowed to require their employees to get vaccinations. If the employees don't want to do that, they can go find another job. That's the beauty of capitalism. They have the choice.
I understand, but was it really necessary?
Yes.
Because I really don't believe it was. That's your opinion.
That's great. There are 1.2 million Americans who died from COVID that I'm sure would
and
want
I got
to be able to get vaccinated.
To save my job. Yeah. I got vaccinated,
Good.
But guess what, Harry?
Good.
Still got COVID.
Yeah, so nobody was claiming that if you get the vaccine, you're 100% prevented from getting COVID. Nope, nobody claimed that. Nobody claimed that. Nobody was saying that, yeah, this means you will not get COVID, right? No scientist, no medical professional was making that claim. What they did say is that the vaccine will prevent, or at least help you not die. It will prevent you from dying. It will prevent hospitalization. And that's what it did. There was a point in the pandemic when unvaccinated people were 11 times more likely to die from COVID. That's no secret. Sorry, I got a phone call. That's not because of a coincidence. It's not accidental. It's because the vaccine is effective. And the data still is consistent today. That if you aren't vaccinated,
not effective. Actually, it's not.
It is. It is.
Okay.
There's not a. Do you have any evidence to suggest that it's not?
Everybody that got the vaccine still got COVID. Everybody that got revaccinated still got COVID.
Yeah, so that's not an example of the vaccine being effective.
So are the people? Wait, just out of curiosity, professionals in New York City.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. The people that you are talking about that got the vaccine and then they got COVID, are they alive?
Yes, I am.
Did they go to the hospital for COVID?
No.
Okay. So the vaccine was effective. You just proved to me how the vaccine's effective. They didn't die.
No, I still got
they didn't
COVID,
go to the hospital.
So.
They're still living. That's the whole point. That with the COVID vaccine, nobody is saying, first of all, people who got the COVID vaccine are still less likely to get COVID. There's plenty of data that supports this. But also the main goal is not going to the hospital, not dying. You yourself got the vaccine. You didn't go to the hospital. You didn't die.
I know several doctors. I know several doctors that work through New York City that work through the COVID vaccine that I have spoke with, that I know personally, that said people were dying left and right, and that they were told that they had a market at COVID. So you could say whatever you want, but these are people
Dr.
I know and I
Doofenshmirtz, Dr.
trust
Donald Trump,
that they were
Dr. Laura
saying,
Loomer. Yeah, I've heard that Dr. Doofenshmirtz is quite the reliable source when it comes to this stuff.
I don't know that guy.
Dr. Laura
That's not the
Loomer
one I know.
is
They're just
what an academic.
regular Joe Schmoes that
What
don't
an academic
say your
Dr.
name.
Laura Loomer is. What an academic.
I didn't say him. I said I know actual doctors personally that I've known for years that
Who are they
worked
voting
in
for?
the city that were saying that they were marking things off as COVID when it was not COVID. You don't have to believe it, Harry. I don't care. I
That's
don't
fine.
live your life. You can believe it or you cannot. But I know that those people are not lying to me.
They are almost certainly lying because nobody was required to mark
Because
anything
you
off
don't
as a
believe
COVID
it.
death.
Because you don't believe it.
No, it's again, we just have like data on this and studies on this. And if you look at these individual
Data's and
cases, you can go like
studies.
even on an individual level, somebody dying
Datas
from
and
COVID. So
studies
for
are
example,
manipulations.
what was that?
Datas and studies are manipulations.
I don't even know how you're a functioning person in society when you say shit like that. That is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm sorry. Data and studies are manipulations. Like,
Anybody can write a little
are you
chart.
talking
Anybody
about?
can write a chart.
I mean, I can't even believe what I've just heard in my entire life. Listen. I mean, I can't even believe what I've just heard. I just can't believe what I just heard. So, anyway, we go on. If you even go like on an individual level, you can look at like what caused somebody to die. So, for example, there were a lot of people who had comorbidities, and then they got COVID, and the COVID further accentuated their comorbidities, and they died as a result. But the point is that if they didn't get COVID, they wouldn't have died. And so you list the cause of death as COVID because that's what did it. They had a comorbidity before, a pre-existing condition, and that was further worsened by COVID. So I don't know who these doctors you're talking to. Again, I don't know if like Dr. Donald Trump is the most reliable source, or Dr. Doofenshmirtz. What a guy. Quite the academic, you ask me. But you should just like not listen to well, I won't be mean, unintelligent people. Just don't do that.
Like actual doctors, I should listen to you.
I don't know who these doctors are that you're talking. Dr. Seuss, maybe Jesse says. I agree with that. I don't know who these doctors are that you're referencing here. But you probably should get a new doctor.
Actual human doctors.
Are these people treating you?
Actually, they did treat me.
Oh, God love you. You should get a new doctor.
I'm alive. I didn't die from
Because
COVID.
of the COVID vaccine. You're welcome. You're welcome.
No, actually, I didn't get the COVID vaccine until I was forced to, like,
So you got it.
months later.
So you got
because
it.
I would have lost my job in a medical field.
So you
I
got
would
it.
have lost my job.
So you got
And
it.
how many people sued? How many people sued after that and won? Because why should you
Who?
lose your job? We're all about my body, my choice, right?
Yeah, that's quite literally like you're making a choice. You have the choice. Either you get the vaccine, you keep your job, or you don't, and you get to leave. Nobody's tying you down to a gurney and giving you the shot.
Actually,
you have
it's
the
same
choice to
kind of
leave or
thing
not.
because
That's the entire thing.
Actually, my livelihood is like that. You're putting me in a rock and a hard place, like my body or my choice. Like
Yeah, exactly.
You're
So
telling me I have to
if
get
you
it.
don't want the vaccine, you don't work the job.
And if
Just
you
like if the
don't want to
company-
get
if the
pregnant,
company
don't have
requires-
sex. Same thing.
I mean, that's a really stupid
Same thing.
comparison.
Same thing.
It's
Same thing.
literally, again, I'm gonna.
Same thing.
I'll be nice. It's not the same
Same
thing whatsoever.
Yeah, it actually is.
You can keep saying it over and over again. I'm going to tell you how it's not the same thing.
How?
So it's quite literally the choice, right? So you
Let me
either get to keep your job.
You tell me how it's the same choice because you're not a woman and you're not going to get pregnant. So please tell me
Again,
how
I
it's
don't
your
even know what
choice.
the hell. This is just like incoherent nonsense. So the when it comes to the job and the vaccine, that's quite literally having a choice. So if the company requires you to wear a uniform, but you don't want to wear that uniform, you're going to get fired. So either you
That's
wear the uniform,
totally different.
I'm just giving you an example of the company requiring
That's
you to
the
do something, and if
stupidest
you don't do
example.
something,
Oh my God.
I'm gonna need you to stop talking because I promise whatever you're saying
And you're
is not
probably like
important.
the person that says it's okay to have fucking 18 piercings and somebody should still hire you.
I think if somebody has piercings, I don't think that makes them unqualified for a job.
Okay,
Sorry.
so me not getting a vaccine makes me unqualified,
Yeah.
but having freaking 1,200 holes in my face is okay.
Again, if somebody, JW, thank you for the 50 gifted subs. I appreciate you, my man. So if somebody has piercings, I don't think that makes them unqualified for the job. Just like if you don't want to get a vaccine, I don't think that makes you unqualified for the job. I think it makes you unqualified to be. I think it makes you unqualified to be like a productive member of society, right? Just like yourself, as you're proving right now.
There's standards.
But just to be clear, a company is allowed to require you to get a vaccine or not. They are allowed to do that.
A company is required to have certain standards for you as an employee.
Yeah, you not
like back
vaccine
in the day,
requirements
you
are perfectly.
You weren't even allowed to have your ears.
I don't even know what you're. I'm genuinely like baffled at what you're trying to argue. So like the company is meant to have standards in the workplace for sure, but that doesn't mean that the company is not allowed to require you to get vaccines. Like that is, they're two totally different things, and the company is absolutely allowed to require you to get vaccines. And again, if you don't want to get it, you don't work there. It's that simple.
Okay. And if, again, so the same standard, if I don't want you to have 18 piercings, it's still okay for the job to not hire you.
So we're talking about like the spreading of a deadly virus.
How is it not the same thing, Harry?
Because we're talking about
not the same thing.
Because we're talking about the spread of a deadly virus, and we're talking about piercings.
We were talking about standards.
I mean, we're talking about standards when it comes to health and standards when it comes to like physical appearance.
Standards when it comes to health.
Yes. You're talking about, again, the spreading of a deadly virus versus a physical appearance question. And I don't know how you're trying to equate the two, but you are
but
somehow. Maybe it makes sense up there.
You're also trying to put a vaccine in my body that has not been tested.
You don't have to get it. You don't have to get it. You just quit your job.
I need money. People need money. You're manipulating people.
Okay, well, you don't have to. I'm sorry. You either, if you want to work that job, I'm sorry, you have to comply with what the business requires you to do, which is within their right to do it.
If you want to be part of that job, maybe you can't have fucking 20 things in your holes in your face. Same thing.
Again, I don't know why you keep comparing physical appearance to health and a deadly virus.
It's a standard. It's still a standard.
You're comparing a standard. You're comparing a standard for physical appearance and a standard for health. They're two very different things. Just like there are a lot of regulations for businesses when it comes to health, and those same regulations do not exist when it comes to physical appearance.
You're acting like it's 100% verified health for everybody. It's not. There's a lot of vaccines within the data, and there's a lot of health things that people question.
I don't know why you choose. I don't know what medical field do you work in. Like, what do you do in the medical field?
I've done several things in the medical field.
Like what?
Mostly administration, but medical.
So you're not a nurse or a doctor?
No, not.
So what the fuck? I mean, oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro. You can't. Hey, I mean, come on, bro. It just makes it too like fucking crazy, bro. Okay. So that explains a lot as to why you're making these silly arguments. I was going to say, like, why do you choose to be willfully ignorant? Like, you can read all of these different peer-reviewed studies on the efficacy of the vaccine and vaccines generally, and it talks about how they are very effective. There's a reason why you don't see people with measles. There's a reason why the iron lung is outdated, because polio is hopefully virtually extinct now because we have a polio vaccine, right? So they are very effective. And for some reason, you're choosing willful ignorance. I don't know why, but you do. It's just concerning to me. That's all.
Because, it's concerning to me that every commercial that I ever watch about all the medical things, it's always like, oh, well, we might cure this, but we also might make you want to commit suicide and do this and this and that, whatever. Though that outweighing does not matter. Like, you can't force me to have a vaccine that might kill me. Like all these poor kids that are depressed and anxiety and this and that. Oh, well, take this pill, but it might also cause you to be even more depressed and want to kill yourself. Like, give me a break.
So hold that thought for a second. Can I just ask the chat if anybody understands what she just said? So type 1 in the chat if you don't understand. Type 2 in the chat if you understand what she just said perfectly and understand the point she just made. Just type 1 if you don't. Type 2 if you do. 1 if you don't. 2 if you do. Okay. So we're on the same. Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same page here. We have like 1,000 people saying what. I have no idea what you just tried to argue here with like these commercials and like. Are you talking about like adverse effects that might come with certain medications?
Yes, absolutely. Every single one of them.
So they do that for legal reasons, right? Because it is possible that this happens, but it's incredibly rare.
What makes you think it's so rare?
Because again, we have data on this stuff, which apparently you said was
Because you have a
manipulation.
I bet you have a chart.
A chart on what?
How rare it is. I mean,
Well, I mean, you'd have to give me a specific.
Pick up your phone.
You'd
Pick
have
up
to give
your
me a
phone and
specific.
Google it.
You'd have to give a specific medication and a specific side effect of that medication.
Chantix. Let's just go with Chantix.
Chantix.
Smoking.
I don't know what that is.
You gotta pick up your phone and Google it.
Well, you asked me to get a chart, right? I don't know what is Chantix. Chantix side effects.
Wow.
Possibility. I mean, are you sober by any chance?
What?
You're soda effect, or you're sober, right?
100%.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing any like data on this.
On Chantix? On quitting smoking Chantix medication. It's been around for a freaking 20 years.
Yeah, I'm just looking for like yeah, I'm just looking on a like a graph of like the possibility of adverse effects. Yeah, there's no like graph on like adverse effects with this specific drug. I also don't know what this is, so I can't speak on this in like an educated way because I don't know what Chantix is.
It's a pill that is supposed to help you quit smoking.
So that still doesn't tell me much, but yeah. So like, I think the point here is that like every medication has potential side effects, but the potential side effects of these medications are very rare. Like, you know, there's a potential side effect when it comes to like surgery, for example. You could have like an infection or something like that, but an infection from surgery, if everything's done right, is rare, right? So that's the point. And that's the same thing with like a vaccine or any medication or Chantix, whatever. So you should believe scientists and not.
Well,
like
when
Trump
I got my COVID vaccine, I got a huge swollen lymph node. So is that?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't think that was because of the COVID vaccine.
I'm sure you don't. Everything's just perfectly safe all the time.
I mean, when it comes to like these things, they're highly tested. They're highly tested. You'll be all right.
COVID was so quick. How was it highly tested?
Are you talking about the vaccine?
Yeah, how is it highly tested?
Yeah, so the FDA had it on an expedited approval process, which means that a lot of the different steps it goes through for approval kind of overlapped. So they were like filing paperwork for approval while tests were going on. So those kind of overlap. They still went through all the necessary tests laid out by the FDA, and it was approved for emergency use and then eventually given full approval. But all the tests were still conducted on the vaccine. It just kind of overlapped, so the process was a little bit expedited.
So they just preemptively knew COVID was going to happen?
Nope. They developed the vaccine following COVID being a thing.
That's why in like November. Oh, fuck.
I don't even know. Again, I have no idea what you're talking about here.
I know. Hold on. Let me.
God, I'm so sick of these people. God, I'm so sick of these people. Yeah. I cannot believe this race is tied, man. I cannot believe this race is tied. This is like the average Trump supporter we talk to, ladies. I mean, if you're in these lives like often, you see this. This is like average Trump supporter we talk to. James, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you, and thank you JW again for the 50 gifted subs, man. Yeah, hello. Annie, hello.
Sorry, I got distracted. I had something more important to do.
Yeah.
I'll let somebody else go.
Bet on Trump in the markets. Maybe that's something.
No, actually, go get laid. So sorry, bye.
I'm sure that you're doing a lot of that, huh? Oh my God, that is like, it's like, oh, that makes me fucking cringe, dude. Oh. God, what are you trying? Oh God, dude. Oh, that's so. Now, can you leave? Can you leave now? Why are you still? You know what? Get out. I'll kick you. Go. Oh man. I don't need to know all that, man. I really don't need to know all that, bro. You can keep that to yourself. That's okay. Oh man, I really didn't need to. You just keep it to yourself. You know, that's good. Good for you. You know, what I'm saying, like, man, I swear I don't need to know all that stuff. Y'all keep that to yourself next time. All right, y'all keep that to yourself next time. Jeez Louise. Abby, thank you for the $1.69. Voted early today in the state of Florida. Did a write-in vote for you, Harry. Abby, please tell me that's not true, bro. Abby, please tell me that's not true. Please tell me you did not write my name in. I'm going to believe that you didn't, all right? I'm going to believe internally you didn't. Brent, thank you for the $5. Jumping on the date train. Next time you're in Dallas, drinks on me. Damn. Man, you guys are way too kind. I appreciate all of y'all. I've never been to Dallas. Sarah, thank you for the $1. Have you heard of Epic the Musical? Better than Lin-Manuel's stuff. I swear on my soul, I've never heard of that, Sarah. I appreciate the $1. Julian, thank you for the $5. Harry, can you bring up how historically Republicans have been bad for the economy versus, or excuse me, Democrats versus Republicans? I'm abundant for a car, but I believe in you. So that is the case. Going back to World War II, Democrats are better when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to job creation, when it comes to GDP, when it comes to inflation. Like, it's remarkable. The data is crazy. Gabby, thank you for the $5. Thank you for all that you do voting blue down the ballot tomorrow in Tennessee. Gabby, I love you. Thank you so much for doing that. Oh my God. Bradley, thank you for the $200. I need the chat to be filled with W's for Bradley right goddamn now. Yo, please fill the chat with W's for Bradley. He's always here supporting the live. Only 1 week left, Harry. I will keep supporting your live as your message is so incredibly important to our first-time voters. Keep debunking these crazy MAGA cult followers. Everyone get out there and vote for Kamala Harris to save our democracy. Harris Walls 2024. Please fill the chat with W's for Bradley. I need at least 200 W's for Bradley. I appreciate that so much. $200. Pretty sure like last week he said $250, man. This guy's always supporting the live. Bradley. I appreciate you so much. And his message is important. Get out there. Early vote for Kamala Harris. Just get out there and make your voice heard. Seriously. Go do that. You're amazing, Bradley. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. And JW with $50. This woman is so exhausting, showing my daily support. Can we discuss the racism at the Trump rally at MSG? Perhaps getting some people of color to discuss about it. Yeah, absolutely. We should definitely do that, JW. Thank you for the $50. Fill the chat with W's for JW as well. $50 is also incredibly generous. I appreciate you so much, JW and Bradley. W's for both of you guys. You guys are amazing. Trisha, thank you for the $3. As a severe asthmatic who likely would have been hospitalized without the vaccine, this one makes me want to walk into the ocean. You and me both, Trisha, especially the last part. Didn't need to know it. Justin, thank you for the $5. I got COVID before I was able to be vaccinated due to an allergy that causes anaphylaxis and ended up in the hospital for 8 days on remdesivir, not medical, and high oxygen that still deal with long COVID. This lady is a piece of garbage and is brainwashed by the mango Mussolini. Damn, Justin, not mincing words. I appreciate that for the $5, man. Jasmine, thank you for the $10 because data and studies matter. That was a crazy comment that she made about data and studies, like actually crazy. Megan, thank you for the $50. My mother-in-law followed her husband's politics and didn't believe on her deathbed she was telling the nurses COVID is real, get the vaccine. She didn't have any health issues. Thanks for shutting down this misinformation. Megan, thank you for the $50. We've heard so many tragic stories like that of people on their deathbed like begging for it and it's just too late. You know what I mean? So Megan, thank you for sharing that with me. Megan for the $50 in the chat. That is incredibly generous. I appreciate you, Megan. Hannah, thank you for the $5. Guest needs to grow a brain fund. Took the words right out of my mouth. Valerie, thank you for the $50. Also, thanks for what you do. Yo, fill the chat with for W's for Valerie and Megan. At least 50 for each of them, man. I appreciate both of you. $50 is incredibly kind. Thank you, Valerie. And thank you for what you're doing. I know on a personal level, you're working hard. So I appreciate you. Cruz, thank you for the $1. Not sure why MAGA always says the vaccine is new, but COVID is a SARS virus, which has been studied for decades. Exactly. Shaney, thank you for the $5. Tell her getting laid has side effects. She's apparently not familiar with those. Christy, thank you for the $1. How do you do it every day? Deal with these people. Come on, America. We're supposed to be better than this. It is very draining to do this every day and talk to these people every day, but got to do it, you know? And Adam, finally, thank you for the $5. Harry, I'm from Westchester too. What do you think of Jamal Bowman? What I think of Jamal Bowman, I'm excited to vote for Latimer. That's what I think. All right, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. I'll bring you up. And you can tell me why you're MAGA. Why on earth? How on earth? Why it's possible that you're voting for Donald Trump. It makes no sense. So let's bring somebody up. Let's bring up Vinny. Oh, let me check Cash App really quickly. I'll run through these super quick, I promise. Maya, thank you for the $2. I slid into your DM, slides back. Golly, dude, you guys are going crazy tonight. Gerald, thank you for the $3. Voted for Obama in Afghanistan 08. Early voting tomorrow. Yo, Gerald, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. Jennifer, thank you for the $5. Thanks for all you do. Also, Kalamazoo. You got it, Jennifer. Declan, thank you for the $1. I'm trans with kids. If Trump's win, should we flee? No, I think you should stay and fight. but I understand the want there for sure. Becky, thank you for the subscription as well. Sandra, thank you for the $10 from BN Project for educational purposes. Sandra, I appreciate you. Essence, thank you for the $5. One of the best debaters. Thank you for your service. Essence, I appreciate you as well. Rosie, thank you for the $5. Guess concepts of a medical career. Ain't that right, Rosie? Tyrell, thank you for the $5. Can't believe what happened at MAGA Square Garden. Yeah, really gross that took place in New York City, man. And finally, Tanya, thank you for the $3. First-time voter in Nevada. I appreciate you, Harry. Tanya, my God, voting first time in Nevada in a swing state. It's quite the honor. Get out there, make your voice heard. I appreciate you, and thank you for the $3. All right, Vinny. Now, wait, one last thing. Drop a follow if you haven't already. We do these lives all the time. Double tap the screen. Let's try to get to 1.1 million likes. And, of course, Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio. All right, Vinny, why you MAGA?
Yeah, so basically, Ukraine, the way Kamala handled Afghanistan, and just the border crisis is ridiculous.
Okay, so what about Ukraine makes you want to vote for Donald Trump?
Well, there was no Ukraine and Russia going on, and there was
That's
no.
not true.
What do you mean?
That's not true. Crimea was still occupied by Russia under Donald Trump's presidency. He didn't get it back to Ukraine.
Okay, well, was there a full-on war?
There was still conflict going on in the region, yes.
Yeah, but there wasn't a war.
I mean, I would still describe that as like a war. Yeah, they like Russia like invaded Crimea and parts of Ukraine in 2014 and occupied those areas, and then Trump took office and didn't do anything to get them back, and there was still conflict going on in those regions. So I would call that a war. I think that was like the beginning of what happened. Then there was a broader war later, but I would still describe that as a war, yes, or part of it at least.
Well, under Trump, Ukraine wasn't trying to get in NATO, but when Kamala got in office and Biden, they were trying to get Ukraine in NATO, and that's actually what started the conflict.
God, really pushing the Russian propaganda here, my man. Yeah, so that is not what started the conflict. This is you're quite literally pushing Putin's talking points right now. I just hope you know that. Like, as an American citizen, I would not be doing that. But that's not what started the conflict. Ukraine has been trying to get into NATO for years now under Democrats and Republicans. The United States has said no because it would lead to or for the conflict, or at least that was the view. And we've still denied their applications they're still trying to do it under Trump. They're still trying to do it under Joe Biden because they believe it would protect them, which I also would agree, but it would just, escalate. And then Russia decided to invade because they want more power, more influence, more resources. And that's the reason, not because Ukraine's been trying to join NATO. And if that was really the case, that it's because Ukraine was trying to join NATO, well, Russia borders a bunch of NATO countries like Latvia that joined in the early 2000s and they didn't invade them.
Okay.
So I don't think it's because of NATO, my man.
Sure, whatever you think.
Okay.
Okay, now on to my next point: Afghanistan and the border. The way Biden and Kamala handled the Afghanistan pullout would have never happened under Trump.
It was quite literally initiated by Donald Trump.
What, the pullout?
Yes.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, so the pullout was initiated by Trump with what we call what's called the Doha Accords. It's spelled DOHA Accords. It was negotiated by the United States and the Taliban in February of 2020. It was signed by the Trump administration. This was a plan that laid out how the United States was withdrawing from Afghanistan. It was a year-long-ish plan, and when Biden took office, the Biden administration still had to go through with this plan because it doesn't just expire because a new president takes office. And so that's the plan they followed to get out of Afghanistan. And this plan was criticized by Trump's own former advisors. Yikes, there's an echo. You got to swipe up out of the app, my man. Got to just swipe up and come back for a second because there's an echo. If you'd be so kind. Just swipe up. Just leave the app for just a second. Just not doing it. There you go. Now come back. All right, now you should be good. Let's see. I'm going to send you an invite to unmute. Okay. Yeah, we're good now. So that's a deal that was initiated by Donald Trump. It was criticized by his own former advisors, such as H.R. McMaster and the Inspector General of the United States, who is nonpartisan, did an investigation into our time in Afghanistan. And one of the main reasons they blamed for the pullout being messy was the Doha Accords negotiated by Donald Trump.
I don't think that's true. All I want to ask is, the Afghanistan pullout happened under Biden and Harris, not Trump.
Yes, but
okay.
The plan that was, first of all, I love how, and this is like side comment, not to you. I love how we debate Trump supporters so often, and I'll like give them this whole spiel about these different issues, and they'll just be like, "Oh, I don't think that's true." Okay, I can cite all these things for you if you'd like, but I digress. It is
State your
true.
sources.
What was that?
State your sources.
Yeah. So which specific claim? HR McMaster?
Just the whole thing in general, whatever you're basing your statements off of.
Sure. Absolutely. So on August 27th, 2024, H.R. McMaster went on CNN, and one of his quotes from the clip is, quote, "We threw Afghan under the bus." There's also an article saying from CNN, it's pulling up one sec, because it's an interview he did. General McMaster says Trump bears some responsibility for chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal. McMaster told CNN's Anderson Cooper that the former president had made a decision.
CNN, huh?
Yeah, because he did the interview with CNN.
Okay.
So anyway, point is, that's the article. It says that, and this is, you can see it, I'm not just making it up. It says General McMaster says Trump bears some responsibility for chaotic withdrawal.
Yeah, for sure. So why would Trump condemn the Afghanistan pullout if it was his
Because
plan?
he's a liar.
And Biden isn't?
Also, here's the article, The National Interest. It says, here you go. You can see it. It says the Inspector General blames Trump's Taliban deal for Afghan collapse, and they cite the Doha Accords by Donald Trump. Here's also an Associated Press article on it. It's coming up. There it is. Biden review of chaotic Afghan withdrawal blames Trump.
Okay.
So yeah, Trump initiated this. It was really bad. Then he tried to put it on Biden. Folks like yourself try to put it on Biden. I think that's wrong.
Okay, cool. On to my other point, the border crisis.
Yep.
That's disgusting. Like, how can you defend that? There's so many illegals coming in, and Kamala and Biden are giving so many benefits to all the illegals coming in.
Name
but
one.
we have our own veterans and our own homeless
Name one.
people out on this. What do you mean?
Name one benefit that's been given to undocumented
They're
migrants.
giving them money. They're giving them housing.
how old are you?
In New York, there's literally migrants in 5-star hotels.
Wait, one sec. Somebody made a good point. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. So what can you? No undocumented migrant is staying in 5-star hotels. I don't know where you got that from. One of the hotels
Okay.
called the Roosevelt is a hotel where migrants were staying. It shut down because it wasn't that great. So they're not staying in 5-star hotels. They're not staying in luxury by any stretch of the imagination.
I've seen several journalists, independent journalists, going to these 5-star hotels, and they were pressed out of here because when they asked why they were having illegals coming in, they just pushed them out. So can you explain that?
I don't know what quote unquote independent journalists you're citing. And if somebody's like going into a 5-star hotel and like trying to harass the hotel staff, being like, well, why are migrants staying here? I can imagine in a couple of reasons as to why they got kicked out, and it's not because they're trying to get to the bottom of it, you know?
I don't think so. But okay, so whatever. Even if they're not getting benefits, but they're still, there are like 10 million illegals coming in.
So there have been 10 million encounters at the border, but encounters does not equal someone coming into the country. The majority of people who are encountered at the border are denied access. And we have data on this as well from the Department of Homeland Security.
That's not true.
Okay. Why do you say it's not true?
Because there's literally, what do you mean it's not true?
I'm asking, you said what I just claimed is not true. I'm asking.
Laken Riley, she got fucking raped and murdered by
Okay,
illegals.
whoa.
I see an illegal raping and killing.
Whoa. Can you
American?
just relax on the words as we're on TikTok here?
Illegal?
No, the R word. Just say like
the R word. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just say assault or something like that.
Got you.
But I understand. Wait, what year were you born?
2006. Actually, I turned 18 on election day.
You're not 18. Okay. So you got to go, unfortunately, my man.
Really? But I turned 18.
Got to be above the age of 8. Thank you. That would have been helpful to know. You got to be above the age of 18 to be on TikTok Live. So if you turn 18 on election day, that's like very cool. But unfortunately, that's not good enough to be on TikTok Live. So golly. All right. If you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. And above the age of 18, you're welcome to come up and debate. You're welcome to come up and debate. Abby, thank you for the $1. I was kidding about writing your name in. I'm going to vote early in Florida this weekend, Harris 2024. All love to you and deeply appreciate what you do. Abby, I appreciate you too. I'm glad that you were joking about writing my name in. Definitely don't do that. But I appreciate the kind words. I'm glad that you're going out to vote. Oh, what the fuck? Look at that. Golly, bro. Look at, yo, Christian, my man, with a TikTok universe. I think that's like the biggest one you can send. So, Christian, my man, I appreciate you so much, brother. Throw some W's in the chat for Christian, man. Golly, a TikTok universe? You're kidding me, man. Please throw some W's in the chat for my man supporting the live. I appreciate that a lot, Christian. Thank you so much, brother. You're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. I hope you know that, man. W Christian in the chat. W Christian in the chat. I appreciate it, man. Shout out him. TikTok universe. You don't see that every day, man. You don't see that every day on the live. So shout out my man. Shout out Christian. I appreciate you. I appreciate that, man. Yo, Dylan, why did Law of the Wild speak at the Freedom Rally against the leftist agenda? That is not true. It's just not true. That's all I got to tell you. Savannah, thank you for the $5. Voted blue in Georgia. Savannah, that's awesome. Amazing. Congratulations for voting. I'm so glad you voted blue in the great state of Georgia as well. Your vote is very, very important. Very, very important. Jerry, thank you for the $5. Voted for Kamala in blue all the way last Wednesday in Houston. I was originally not going to vote, but you and others convinced me to vote for Kamala. I'm an Asian American, and I don't want another Trump presidency after what he did to my community during COVID. Yeah, wow. Jerry, I'm glad that folks like myself and others were able to get you to vote for Kamala Harris. That is awesome. Thank you for doing that. It's truly, truly amazing. We appreciate that a lot. That's awesome. And yeah, we don't need more Trump. Leah, thank you for the $5. Just sending over all my money. Kamala 2024. Leah, please save your money. Please, I promise. Please save your money. I just appreciate that you're here and supporting the live. That means more to me than you know. But please save your money. Go out to dinner tomorrow night or treat yourself to something nice. All right, please. But Venmo, Cash App in the link in the bio. Drop a follow if you haven't already. Double tap the screen. You know the drill. You know the checklist. All right, Chad.
Yo, what up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So yeah, why is Donald Trump better than Camilla?
It's Kamala.
Or Kamala.
You can say Harris. You can say VP Harris. That's fine.
Yeah,
It's also
VP
just not
Harris,
that hard to pronounce her name. It's just Kamala, but you can say Harris if it's really that difficult.
Yeah, VP Harris. All right. I would say because of the tariffs that are going to be imposed on China, when it comes to production and such, we want to produce oil within the United States as well. So that's like another point there. But basically, the point of the tariffs on China is so small businesses are able to grow within the United States, as well as, like electric cars and whatnot. We want to be able to produce our own electric cars to the U.S. population.
So who pays for the tariffs? Does China pay for the tariffs?
Yes, China pays for the tariffs.
So that's actually not true. That's not how tariffs work. Tariffs are a tax imposed on imports, and the companies that are importing the goods pay the taxes. And that's why tariffs are, they can be good, but in a broad scale, they're really bad because that cost gets passed down to the consumer. We see this time and time again. We saw it during the Donald Trump presidency. During his presidency, for example, on washing machines. For every one job created, $850,000 got passed down to the consumer. And ended up being like a huge tax on consumers and certain goods. And that was just what's going to happen again. He wants to put like a 10 to 20% tariff on everything coming into the United States. Not only will that create trade wars with certain countries and erode our relationship with certain countries, it's just going to raise the cost of goods for me and you. There are studies out there saying that because of Trump's tariffs on the low end, there will be a $4,000 a year raise in taxes for your average American. So I don't know why you'd support that. There are some tariffs that are perfectly fine, as you mentioned,
exactly
electric vehicles. We can do that.
that.
Hold on. There are some tariffs that are great. That I think Democrats and Republicans can agree on. As you mentioned, electric vehicles is one of those things. No problem. But generally, broad tariffs have been condemned by like every economist ever. That's why 16 Nobel laureate winning economists have endorsed Kamala Harris and her economic agenda.
First of all, they're not broad tariffs. They're targeted tariffs agast specific actions.
Tariffs.
Yes, they are targeted tariffs.
He said 10 to 20% on everything.
So even if it's the case that it's on everything, we want stuff to be produced within the United States rather than buying from other countries. So let's say the prices does go up for the consumer, right? The fact that we're able to produce all these goods and be able to, flush them out to the folks in the United States it looks a lot better on us because we're able to produce these goods. Yes, there may be a slight increase on specific goods that we're not getting imported from China, like for example, car parts and whatnot, right?
Yeah, so the problem with your proposal is that it's going to take years, maybe decades. If that was like theoretically the route we wanted to go, it would take years, maybe decades to actually move all of that production to the United States. Like there's a lot of things that we don't produce in the United States, or like fruits and vegetables that we get from other countries, like bananas, for example, that are grown in Brazil. And we get them from those countries for a reason, because the climate is better for them. But you're saying like, hey, let's grow all of our bananas in the United States. It doesn't really make much sense. The climate is not really ripe here for bananas, but let's do it anyway. So doing that would take a lot of time and a lot of money, and the product would be worse. So I don't think that that's like a really good realm for the United States to take, all increasing the cost. So you have increased cost, in certain cases, worse products. It's like, there's just no benefit here. And then also think about the retaliatory tariffs. You're like, oh, let's put tariffs on things coming into the United States. All of these other countries we put tariffs on will just put tariffs on us, making it harder for our farmers, our manufacturers, our business to ship their goods overseas.
How can you say that the product's worse if we're talking about bananas speaking, right? Like if we're growing bananas in the United States, the product's going to be more fresher than if we're going to be getting it from China.
So would you not agree that certain climates are better for certain fruits and vegetables, or like beans, like coffee beans, than others?
Yeah, no, I believe that, like the growing process and whatnot could depend on the climate, of course.
Right. So
I would agree with that.
If we try to force, to grow things like bananas or coffee beans here in the United States in certain areas, I would argue that product would be worse because the climate is not as optimal for those products.
I would completely disagree, because there are specific areas in the United States that we would grow those coffee beans.
There's a reason why we get all these things from other countries.
It's because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to purchase.
Sometimes it's cheaper, but also it's just better.
It's not better.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, are you joking? Like, do you just?
Okay, well, give me an example of like so you've tasted different bananas. So you've gotten a banana from the United States and a banana from China. No, I'm just
pointing. Wait, we both agree. We both
the bananas.
We both agree that there are certain products grown overseas that. Thank you, JW, for the 25 subs. We both agree that there are products grown overseas in certain climates that are better than climates here in the United States, or areas in the United States. And so that's the point. That like you've conceded this already.
I didn't. When did I concede?
So your view is that we can just grow everything we get overseas here in the United States?
Not, well, like exotic like fruits and whatnot. I guess like depending on the farming capability, then that's whenever you would be able to grow certain products and whatnot. I'm not like the person that's the scientist that's going out and looking what exotic, fruits and vegetables or that we're not able to grow within the United States. I don't
know what that means. Point is that there's a reason we import this stuff, and it's not just because of cost. It's because often the product is just better because their climates are better suited for things like fruits and vegetables. That's just one example of things that we get overseas that would then be hard for the United States to do now if we just had 10 to 20% of broad tariffs. And also, again, while we do this, all of these costs would then be passed down to the consumer. So you're asking people to take on thousands of extra dollars in taxes every single year for what? It's like there's no real benefit. There are certain things where tariffs can work,
specific products is what I'm referring to.
But that's not what Donald Trump is talking about.
Okay, well, yeah, he's planning on imposing. Okay. Right, like a broad spectrum of tariffs.
If you're like, I want tariffs on specific products, I would agree that tariffs on specific products in certain industries is fine, like no problem. Electric vehicles, we'd agree on that. But broad tariffs, no. But if you're like, I want specific targeted tariffs, you would vote for Kamala Harris on this policy, 100%.
Yeah, so I do agree with you in that sense. So I will give you that one, but I don't believe what is written right now is set in stone, right? So I believe these policy changes are going to be made whenever he gets in office, right? Like there will be changes that are going to be added to there's going to be amendments made, basically, is what I'm saying. So there's going to be amendments to the policies and whatnot.
But what are you talking about? Like this is his key economic policy right now. He wants to remove all taxes, like income taxes for everybody, just everything, and then impose tariffs to make it up. That's his like key economic policy. So you're saying the key economic policy that he's running on, he's actually not actually going to do that?
No, he's gonna do it, but he's gonna change it. There's definitely gonna be some amendments that are gonna be made for sure.
What? So he's not. So the proposal he's running on right now is not what's actually going to happen.
No, it's still the same proposal. There's just gonna be some amendments that are gonna be made, like I just said.
And you agree with removing all income taxes and replacing with tariffs?
No, I never said that. Not all.
That's the guy you're voting for.
Yeah, that's currently what's in place right now. But like I said, there's going to be some amendments that are going to be made.
I don't even know when you say like there's just going to be some amendments. Like I don't know what that means. You're saying like
edits simply.
No,
It's
I know
just
you're.
an edit.
Yeah. I know you mean in the context you're using it that it means edits. But what are these amendments going to look like? And if the policy is going to be amended to the point where it's not broad tariffs and income tax is not going to be removed, then why would you be voting for Donald Trump if we can't even like trust him at his word when he talks about policy?
Because that's not the only reason on why I'm voting for him specifically.
Okay,
Is
so
on
what
his
else?
economic policy.
So what else?
What else? I would say when it comes to like wars and whatnot, I feel like he's better suited to be able to, have those specific talking points when you're talking about, specific operations and whatnot that are occurring in other countries.
So why would Donald Trump be better suited for that?
Because he's had past experience as the president of the United States beforehand, so he's able to talk in this regard, and he has respect from other world leaders and whatnot. So
he doesn't actually. Like if you look at the polling from countries around the world, it shows that the body of those countries, respect Joe Biden a lot, and they respect people like Obama a lot. We obviously don't know about Kamala Harris; she hasn't been president yet. But they actually don't respect Donald Trump. His numbers are terrible. They've like collapsed. Like nobody around the world respects Donald Trump except, of course, the dictators. And also, just being president once doesn't mean that he's automatically qualified to be president again. So like what about Trump specifically makes him more qualified to like deal with world leaders? Because I would have an argument for Kamala Harris in that degree.
So yeah, just give me your argument as to why you believe that Kamala is better in that sense.
Yeah, so like Kamala Harris is a career public servant. Obviously, she's worked in public service her entire life, but also she was a former prosecutor. She's been in the courtroom going after killers, assaulters, people like attack children and things like that. So she knows how to argue. She knows her way around these conversations and like tough conversations. And of course, she's negotiated before when it comes to plea deals and things like that. And I think that like arguing in court and negotiating with the other side from a legal perspective, also when taking on like big banks and financial institutions, is one of the toughest arguments to be in and involved in, and she did it. And now she's also, have so much public service experience that I think she's worked her way up the ladder to be really qualified for this role. Whereas Donald Trump, and also she's been endorsed by like hundreds of national security advisors, former Republicans and Democrats in this field who said that, yeah, we believe her to be qualified. And then you have Trump, on the other hand, who has been criticized by his own former national security advisors as being weak, as being incompetent, as having no knowledge of American history, as being laughed at by leaders around the world. So I don't know. I think it's pretty clear to me.
So I do agree with you in the sense that I believe, like, let's say Kamala's like in the war room, for example, like discussing, specific operations that are occurring, that she would have a better say in like what's going on and whatnot, just from her experience, being like a lawyer, right? Or like she was like a district attorney.
Attorney General, yeah.
Yeah, Attorney General. I would actually agree with you in that specific stance, right? But whenever I'm referring to respect, right, I'm referring to like the rapport that Donald Trump has with, for example, President Putin, right? Like he has some decent amount of rapport with him in that regard. And I feel like that will smooth things out, specifically with the Ukraine and Russia war that's currently going on at the moment. I feel like there will be some huge changes that'll be made whenever he gets into office, or if he gets into office,
Yeah, so I would agree with you that Putin definitely likes Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris, and I would also simultaneously argue that that's not a good thing. Putin likes Trump because Trump kind of like does what he wants. Trump has flirted with the idea of getting out of NATO, which would hurt NATO a lot and help Russia a lot. Trump has also said that if he's elected, he'll allow Russia to do whatever the hell they want with NATO countries that don't pay their dues. And if he gets elected, he will most likely reduce the amount of funds that we're sending to Ukraine, making it harder for them to defend themselves, almost certainly kind of sealing their fate. So yeah, of course Putin likes Trump more, but that's not a good thing for the United States. We want a leader that Putin is not a fan of. And also, like, we have world leaders on audio like Justin Trudeau and others were laughing at Trump because he's just so incompetent. They're like, this guy has no idea what he's doing. And as I mentioned, like, the polling when it comes to Donald Trump's approval rating around the world is garbage. Nobody likes Trump around the world. So
Polls don't matter.
They do, right? The bodies of people not respecting Donald Trump in these countries is a pretty significant thing. And also their leaders not respecting Donald Trump is a pretty significant thing. We should have like competent, qualified people in the Oval Office. Donald Trump, according to his own former advisors as well, does not fill any of those criteria.
I definitely do see that in a sense. I believe he just gets people in his cabinet to kind of do the work for him in a sense, and he's just kind of directing it in a way. But shoot, yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
all right. Well, if you don't have anything else, we can leave it there if you'd like.
Yeah, we could leave it off there.
All right, man. All right. Thanks for the conversation, man. You have a good one. All right.
Hey, you too.
Appreciate it, man.
Bye-bye.
Why is the lighting bad? Please fix yourself. Please fix yourself. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Hold on. Yo, Chris, thank you for the $5. Keep fighting the... Can this light like fix itself? What the hell is going on? Relax. Jeez Louise. Chris, thank you for the $5. Keep fighting the good fight. You're more patient than I am. I try, man. It's tough. It's a battle. Devon, thank you for the $3. That TikTok universe is $600. I excuse me, I'm hiccuping now. I didn't even know the amount of that. So shout out to that guy. That's crazy. I did not know the amount. Shout out to Christian again, man. That's incredibly kind, bro. It's like, wow, that is remarkable. Brittany, thank you for the boo. Bonetta, thank you for the $1. Do you have a top 10 presidents? And did you like Obama? Any thoughts on Michelle Obama? Because I think she's an amazing speaker and would be a great president. I agree. She's a great speaker, would be a great president. And I loved Obama. And I definitely do have a bunch of presidents I like, of course, like Obama, Roosevelt, FDR, Lincoln, Washington, Biden, all these amazing presidents. Definitely have a top 10 list. Maximus, thank you for the $5. Hey, Harry, would you run for political office later in life? Do you have any debates planned against Shapiro or Kirk, for example, or you are too qualified for TikTok live? Maximus, that's so kind, man. That's really, really nice. I would definitely run for office later in life. We'll see if that happens. But no debates scheduled against Shapiro or Kirk as it stands right now. But they're always welcome in the live. Coral, thank you for the $5. My husband and I went out to start a family, but are scared of the current. Thank you for the dinosaur, Alyssa. And Jessica, thank you for the gimme. My husband and I went out to start a family, but are scared of the current limitations on healthcare here in Texas. Voted blue all the way down the ballot last Saturday. Thank you for being an advocate for women. Coral, seriously, that's the thing. Like, Republicans with their like pro-life policy are actually stopping people from starting families. It's like completely contradictory. It makes no sense. But Coral, thank you for voting blue, and I'm sorry. It's just like, it's crazy. Jamie, thank you for the $6. A penny for every voter I registered in Arizona this year, keeping AZ blue. Jamie, I hope your hard work pays off. And even if we don't win the state of Arizona, just understand that you're laying the foundation. It's remarkable, truly. And I appreciate the work you're doing. Dylan, thank you for the $1. It's on Law's YouTube channel. Please look into this. Rob Orr speaking at the... I just don't know about it. I guess it's not true. Melissa, thank you for the $25. Thanks for all that you do. I'm a former Republican and super excited to vote blue. Keep up the good work. Melissa, I appreciate that. And as a former Republican, that's impressive. So I appreciate the $25. That's kind. Sarah just came in right now. $5. Putin doesn't respect Trump. He just likes him because he's easily manipulated. All Putin has to do is, 1, tell Trump how smart and strong he is, and 2, suggest something for Trump to do, and he'll do it. Putin wants Trump to win because it's easy to lie to and manipulate. Totally agree, Sarah. Totally agree with everything you just said. Trump loves Putin for that very reason. Martha, thank you for the $5. And Stephanie, thank you for the $1. Ladies, gents, boys and girls, everybody in between, I think I'm going to leave the live there. You went live for like a solid, 3 hours or 2.5, I should say, which was solid. 8-ish days until the election, now closer to 7 days until the election. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Guys, there are plenty of people live debating right now, though, that you should go say hi to. Isaiah Martin is live right now. Deanna Michelle. Oh, let's throw Deanna in there. Her username is girl Deanna Michelle. She's doing some debates right now, so she's a new one. She's a good person. I would go rate her. Isaiah R. Martin is also live. He is live right now doing some debates, so definitely go check out Isaiah R. Martin. We have Your girl, quote, yeah, Y-A, Deanna, D-I-A-N-A, Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-L-E. She is live right now. Go say hi to her. She's fantastic. Yeah, girl, Deanna Michelle, and of course, Isaiah Art Martin. They're both live right now. Go check them out. And of course, folks, I post on every single social media platform. I post on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. All of those usernames are in the link in my bio. I'm also going to go do my debate wrap up right now on Snapchat. So go add me on Snapchat. Same username as TikTok, of course. Is there anything else? No, I don't think so. Just follow on all the platforms, all the good stuff. And of course, follow on TikTok. We'll hopefully be live again soon. So have a great day tomorrow, guys. Tuesday. Enjoy your day. Have a good one. Sleep in if you can. If you can't sleep in, you got work or school or something, go kill it. You'll do great. And tell the people you love them. And go vote. Go vote. Go vote. It's Diana. It's Diana. D-I-A-N-A. Yeah, girl, Diana Michelle. Not Deanna, Diana. It's spelled D-I-A-N-A. They're both live right now. Isaiah R. Martin, Diana Michelle. Go raid them. Go say Harry Raid, or Harry Raid, right? All these people right here. Go say Harry Raid, Harry Raid, Harry Raid. Let them know that we sent them or sent you guys and that we appreciate them. All right, everybody. I appreciate you. And we will talk soon. All right.